Hello everyone, welcome back to another project tutorial. In this video, we're going to build a pizza restaurant e-commerce website using Next.js 15, Tailwind CSS, complete with a beautiful responsive design. This project includes everything you expect from a modern pizza delivery platform. User authentication with a pizza theme UI for signing in and signing up, pizza search and filtering, a shopping cart, an order management system, state management, and a clean glass morphism design with warm gradient colors. On the homepage, starting at the top, we have a stunning hero section with beautiful gradient backgrounds in warm pizza colors that immediately capture attention. Scrolling down, we showcase what makes us special with 4 key features. Each feature has beautiful icons and smooth hover effects. Here we have authentic customer testimonials for real pizza lovers with 5-star ratings and detailed feedback about our pizza shop provide crucial social proof for converting visitors. Here we impress with the statistics. The number of happy customers, pizzas delivered, awards won, and years of excellence. All with gorgeous gradient backgrounds and animations. We also have here the address of our kitchen, the contact information to connect with our visitors. Finally, the main attraction, organized pizza catalogs with amazing images, essential details like names and prices, and convenient add to cart buttons that make ordering incredibly easy. The design is fully responsive, so it looks great on any device. When you add a pizza to the cart, you can view it instantly, change the quantity with simple controls, see a summary of your order, and proceed to checkout. Every pizza has its own detailed page, where you can view high-quality images, ingredient descriptions, prices with promotional badges, and features like wood-fired quality and fast delivery. You'll also see related pizza suggestions in a You Might Also Love section. You can search for any pizza, for example chicken, and instantly see all matching items. Here you have professional filtering that can filter prices, availability, and sort them in your search result. Also from the search page, you can add pizzas directly to your cart. When we try to check out, we click the cart icon, but since we are not logged in yet, we are redirected to a stylish login page with pizza branding. Here you can sign in or create a new account. I'll create one using the email sahand@gmail.com, set a password, and add my name. After signing up, I log in with the same details. Now that I'm logged in, I see my avatar in the navbar. From there, I can access my profile, view orders, or log out. Let's return now to the cart and complete the order. After clicking the checkout button, we are redirected to the Stripe for payment. I enter a test card number, a valid expiry date, and a CVC. After confirming the payment, we are taken to a success page with a fun pizza celebration theme. In the menu, we can now have access to our orders page. Here we see all ordered pizza with images, their prices, and quantities. Also the total price and current status such as preparing or delivered. For backend and content management, we are using OneEntry, a secure private cloud space and ready-to-use backend for building and managing modern web and mobile apps. We use OneEntry to manage pizzas, orders, pages, and customer data. Inside OneEntry, you can easily add a new pizza by clicking the plus icon. Let's add a new spicy pepperoni supreme. I'll enter the title, a price of $18, its description, set the currency to USD, mark it as available, and upload a high-quality pizza image. Once saved, the pizza appears instantly on the homepage and in the pizza catalog. I can now search for the spicy pepperoni supreme and see it live on the website right away. OneEntry also allows you to manage forms such as user registration and order forms directly from the dashboard with built-in validation. For styling, I use Tailwind CSS along with Shatsian UI, creating beautiful gradient backgrounds, glass morphism effects for cards and buttons, smooth animations, and responsive typography. Finally, we deploy the entire pizza restaurant website to Vercel for free. You'll be able to share the pizza site with your friends or include it in your portfolio to showcase your development skills. This approach works for any restaurant or food delivery business. Just switch the theme from pizza to burgers, sushi, or any cuisine you love. If you're excited, let's build our complete pizza e-commerce project using Next.js 15, Tailwind CSS, OneEntry, Stripe payments, and responsive design. In the next section, we're going to install Next.js and Tailwind CSS and create our first template. So see you in the next section. Welcome back. In this section, we're going to install Next.js, Tailwind CSS, and create our first template. I've put the final version here for our comparison. You can have access to this website by this address, pizza.100jsprojects.com. You can just come here, check the website, and be familiar with it before creating it. And also, I have created a diagram for the folder and file structure of our project. So you can come here and check this as well, how to install it, how to create the folders, files, and the structure of the Next.js app directory. I've also included the link of this diagram in the description, so you can come here and use this eraser.io diagram for yourself, and you can clone it and use it as well. So the first thing we need to do, as you can see inside the diagram, we start from this point. We're going to install Next.js using this utility, npx create next app at latest. And also we need to create a folder called next-pizza-shop. This name is not, it can be any name. You don't need to have this name. It's not important. So let me just create this folder first. I'm going to create it inside my project folder. Let me create a new folder called next-pizza-shop. And you can just open this one by Visual Studio Code. Once you open it, the folder that you have created, Next Pizza Shop, should be inside here. So it shows that your main directory is Next Pizza Shop. So after using this npx create next app at latest, inside this folder, you're going to have some default folder and files. Here inside the folder, you can see we have some public folder, for example, for public files, the files that users can have access to. And also we have some configuration and JSON files. Let me show you in action when we create our project. And also I want to show you the Next.js documentation. So if you search for Next.js on Google, you can just go to nextjs.org. Here, this is the official website of Next.js. You can just click on here, get started, and go to the installation tab. And if you scroll down here a little bit, you can see we have an automatic installation using this utility inside terminal. We need to just paste this one and we get the installation by following these prompts. So let me just copy this and we go back to Visual Studio Code. And here we're going to open the terminal. So let me just close this tab, close this welcome. In order to go to the terminal, you can just use the Ctrl backtick to open the terminal, or you can just go to the view menu and open it here. And here we can just paste the code. And as we want to create the project in the same folder that we have created, the Next Pizza Shop, you can just add dot here or period, and you can just press enter. And here you're gonna ask you some questions. For example, this is the version we are installing. We want to proceed. We just say yes. And there are some questions here, prompts here. For example, TypeScript, we say yes, S-link yes. We want to have Tailwind CSS. I don't want to use src folder. And also I want to use app router. App router is the newest way to create pages and files inside Next.js, which is easier and also recommended by Next.js. So we just say yes, turbo pack no, and also we want to keep the default alias for importing packages inside Next.js files. So I just press no for that. As you can see, we have some files and folders created. We have a folder called app. So if you look at the eraser.io here, we can see that this app folder is responsible for all the pages and routes of our project. So we're gonna have two main directory here. One is for authentication and one is for the rest of the project, which we call it main here. The reason we are separating them is because we want to have a different layout. We want to have, for example, if you look at the final version here, so we have a navbar at the top, and also if you look at the bottom, we have a footer. So this is in all pages. For example, if I go to the cart page, you can see that inside the cart page also I have the footer and the navbar. But if you go to the login page for authentication, we can see inside the authentication we don't have the navbar or footer. So in order to separate the layout, we're gonna have two separate folder, one for authentication, one for main. And inside the main, we have a different layout. So this layout is going to include the navbar and the footer. So the navbar and the footer is going to be only available inside this main, which is the rest of our project except the authentication. So authentication is going to be different. So let me just check the Visual Studio Code. Now we have also installed these dependencies like React DOM, Next, and also these dev dependencies like TypeScript and some dev dependencies for our Tailwind CSS. So we have successfully installed. So let me just clear here. And in order to see our application, we can simply say npm run dev. So this is going to create a server for us. And as you can see, it's created a server in the local host. And by default, it's creating it inside this port, which is 3000. If you look at the package.json, which is our main command here, as you can see, we have some script. For example, for running, now we use npm run dev, which is this one, which is going to run the next dev here. And as you can see, we have our dependencies here, dev dependencies, and etc. And also this is the name of our project. You can change the name and other things. So now we can open this inside the browser by just keeping the control or command and click on it. So if you open it, we can see that inside this URL, we have the Next.js website, which has some template, which is created automatically by Next.js. For example, we have a title here, and also they said, in order to edit this page, we need to edit this file. So the main, if we checked our application, so inside the app directory here, we have a file called page.tsx, which is responsible for the home page. And we see it inside this localhost 3000. So in order to edit this page, we need to edit this page.tsx. But we don't want to make the page.tsx here. As I mentioned, I want to separate the authentication and the rest of the page. So I'm going to create a folder called main, but I want to have a parenthesis around the name. When you add a parenthesis, the Next.js is going to ignore that folder. But the reason we are doing it, we can easily separate the layout from the other folder. We don't create a page called main. We just separate it here. So here inside the app, I'm gonna create a new folder called main and just move this app inside this main. So when you do that and we check our final version, we can see we still have the same thing in our application. So we didn't change anything. We just made our website cleaner and also ready for later to add different layout. So now let me just clear this as well. Let me just delete everything and replace this one with a React functional component. We can just create a React functional component by using this RFC. But if you don't see this suggestion, you have to install an extension. I'll show you in a minute. So I've created a React functional component with the name homepage. So in order to see that RFC suggestion, you need to have some extension. Let me show you that extension. The extension is called ES7 React Redux React Native Snippets. And if you don't see it here, you can just search it here, for example, ES7, and this is going to come first, and you can just install it, this one. You can just install it. I think this is the same. Now you have to install this one. I have already installed it, so I don't see the install button. So this is the extension. Now we have created this home page. React functional component. And if you check our website now, we see this homepage, which we have here inside this div. If I want to change this, for example, I can add a class name here. For example, I want to make this bigger. For example, I said text 2XL. So as you can see now, it's bigger. So if you can make it bigger, it means that your Tailwind CSS is installed correctly in your application. Otherwise, you need to do the installation part again. And also, as you can see, when I write down text, I get some suggestion here. For example, colors and sizes. So if you don't see this suggestion, you need to have another extension called Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. So you just search Tailwind CSS IntelliSense and install this one, and this is going to give you the suggestion I have mentioned. The other extension I recommend for this project is this Prettier, which is going to format your code once you save it. And the other one, if you can install auto rename tag, which, for example, here, I want to change this one to H1. As you can see, when I change the opening tag, the closing tag is changing as well. So it's working at the same time. And the other one, which is useful, is this multiple cursor case preserve. So if you change one variable inside your application, it's going to change the other one, and also it's going to keep the cursor case as well. For example, if this one is the capital, it's going to keep that capital for the change as well. So the others are not important. I'm using GitHub Copilot as well, but this is not a free extension. You can use this one to get some coding suggestion in your application. I recommend it because now it's easier to code by using AI. And also this GitHub Copilot chat comes together with the GitHub Copilot. If you buy this one, you get this one as well. So you can chat with this GitHub Copilot and solve your code as an agent. So you can add some extra power to your code. So, all right. So now we have created this page. The next things we want to do, now we have created this application. We want to add this application to a GitHub repository because we need that GitHub repository later to add our website to, for example, a host called like Vercel. So let's search for GitHub. If you search GitHub on Google, you can go to github.com. Here, you can just sign in for free. Once you're logged in, you can just click on this plus icon and create a new repository. For example, you can just choose a name. I just say Next Pizza-shop. And it's available for me. You can have a description, for example, pizza shop created by Next.js, Tailwind CSS, and OneEntry. Let me fix this. So once you do that, you can there are two options. You can just keep this one public or private. If you want to share it with others, if you want other people see your GitHub repository, this repository, you can keep it public, or you can just make it private for yourself. And so I want to keep it public because I want to share this GitHub repository with you so you can have access to the code and easily copy paste the code or download or clone the project. So let's create the repository. Once it is created, we can just use these 3 lines of code to add it to our application. For example, this one is going to add this origin with this address to our application. And also this is going to create a branch. And finally, this is going to push or upload the code into this repository. I'm going to copy these 3 lines of code. We go back to Visual Studio Code. Let me just open a new terminal. And here, before just adding these codes, because we have done some changes in our code, we need to apply this one as well. So I'm going to just apply these changes by clicking on this plus icon. And here we're going to have a message. For example, I'll just say install Next.js and Tailwind CSS and create a new the initial or first template. So that is, and then we could just commit that. So now that I have this, added this one as well. So now if we paste these 3 lines of code that we have copied from here, we can just press enter, and this is going to upload the code there. And now if we come back to this GitHub repository and just refresh the page, we can see that all the code has been uploaded to this page. As you can see, now we have that app directory. For example, we have, as you can see, this page.tsx has the same value as our Visual Studio Code. So what I recommend you, I'm gonna commit a message each time I finish a part in the project. You can just come here to the commit section. For example, click on the commit of part of the project, and you can see the changes. If you have some problem in your code, you get some errors, you can come here, compare your code with my code, or you can just simply copy and paste this code in your Visual Studio Code and see the difference and understand your mistakes. And also you can just download this code by just clicking on this button. You can download it, or you can just clone it by using this link. And also I want to add the final version here, this one. I copy this and paste it here, so you can have access to this website here as well. You can just come here, click here, and see the project. So what we want to do in the next section is to add the authentication. I want to create the template. I want to create the UI of the authentication in the next section. So that was it for this section, installing Next.js and Tailwind CSS and create our first template. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have installed Next.js and Tailwind CSS and create our own first template. In this section, we're going to work on the authentication UI. So if you look at the eraser, we want to create this authentication /auth for sign up and signing pages. So we don't want to create separate pages for sign up and signing. We're going to use some params in the URL to be able to switch between sign up and signing by just creating one page. So if you look at the final version, you can see this is the signing page. And if you click here, you go to the sign up page, but the address is just /auth, and just you are switching between them by just changing a state, like a user state. We're going to use a user state React hook to switch between signing and sign up pages. And this form is actually coming from OneEntry. So in the next section, once we sign up to OneEntry website, we can have access to the forms that we create inside OneEntry and simply fetch them based on our needs. So if you look at here, we can see we have a button here to go to the left. So we're going to have an icon for this, and we have a title, a description, the form, and also we have a button. For the sign up, it's going to be exactly the same. The difference is just the text here. You see here, the text is join, but the sign in is a welcome back. So we're going to have a JSX. We're going to have some logic, JavaScript logic to show different texts based on different React hooks states. So I'm going to show you how to do it. And also for this icon and this button, we're going to use a package called shatcn. So we need to install shatcn to be able to have this icon and also this beautiful button. So if you search here shatcn, we can go to this URL, ui.shatcn.com. So as you can see, they have some components ready, and it is completely created just for Tailwind CSS. And it's very easy to use once we are using Tailwind CSS. Let me just make this one dark mode. So in order to install that, you just go to the documentation. We can install it for Next.js. As you can see, we can just use npx shatcn at latest init to install that. And also, if you want to add a component like a button, you can just use that component. We can just search for that and install it. Here you see the components. All the components are available here. You just click on it and install it. And this is going to add that component in your application. So let's copy this. We go back to Visual Studio Code. Let me just clear this and we paste that code here. So this is going to install it. You just say Y to proceed that. We are using Tailwind CSS version 4. As you can see, Tailwind CSS version 4 and also the Next.js found. What we want to do here first is to choose the base color. I'm going to just use neutral. And this is going to update our CSS variables inside the global.css. So if you check the global.css, you can see now it's some colors are added in our global CSS for that purpose. And in order to be sure that we have installed, let's check. So let's see. Now the Tailwind CSS is not working. Fine. Now let me see the problem here. Project installation complete. You may now add component. So let me fix this one to be able to use for Tailwind CSS. Let's go to component.json. Okay, this is fine. Global.css. I just installed it again, the same thing, but now it's working. That's okay. So I think we need to wait a little bit and refresh the page to see the difference. So now we have installed Shadcn. For our project now, for the authentication, we need to have some buttons. So you just here see the button in the left side. You can see this is the button. Here's the code. You can use just import button like this and use it in your application. But before that, you need to install it. You need to just copy this code and paste it in your Visual Studio Code. Let me just clear this and paste that. Once you install it, you can see a folder is added called components, and we have a folder called UI, and inside we have a button.tsx. So this button is already have some classes, so it's already designed nicely for the Tailwind CSS. And also we have a new folder called lib, and we have utils.ts, which is for connecting Shadcn to our Tailwind CSS. So let's go back to our application and add our authentication page. So if you look at the eraser, we need to add a folder called auth with parentheses, as I mentioned before, because we want to separate the main and the auth with different layouts. So we have created two folders. So let's create that folder inside the app. So the folder is going to call auth, and inside the auth, we're going to have another folder called auth. And inside that, we're going to have a file called page.tsx or ts. It doesn't matter. So we just create a file here. We just say page.tsx. We can create a React functional component for now. I'm just going to call it auth page. And let's go to our application. Let's refresh the page. As you can see, we are getting some error. You cannot have two parallel pages that resolve the same path. Oh, I forgot to create the folder. Oh, this is not a folder. This is a file. So I just delete this one. I create a folder called auth, and we just move this one to this. Now we shouldn't get an error, and we can just check our authentication page by just going /auth. As you can see, we have auth page. So the next step is to import our necessary things, and also this is a client-side component, so it's going to be for client-side because we have some interaction in this page. So there are two types of pages in Next.js: client-side and server-side. Server-side is good for SEO because it's going to create the page before the page is going to be rendered in the browser, so the search engines can see the content of that page. But when you have an interactivity like here, as you can see, we need to just click on these forms or click on this button. So we cannot have this page in the server side. We cannot have a connection, interactivity with the server side. So we need to create this page inside the client side. So we use client to be able to use this page. Next, we want to import some, for example, we need to import user state because, as I mentioned, in our application, we are switching between sign in and sign up. So we need to create a hook for sign in position. For example, we want to be sure that we are in signing or sign up. Based on that, we want to change these texts. So we want to import user state from React. And also we want to import button from shadcn. We created this button using shadcn. Now we want to import it to be able to use it. And also we want to use this chevron left icon, which we can see here, this icon. So this icon is coming from Lucid React. Lucid React is installed in our package when you are installing shadcn. So in package.json, once you install shadcn, you can see that Lucid React is automatically installed in our application, so we can import some icons in our application. Now we need to create a hook here to be able to switch between sign up and signing. So the hook is called isSignup. So when it's true, we are in the sign up, and if it's false, we are in sign in. So, but the initial value is true. So we want to always be in sign up when we come to the this page, the authentication page. And by using this function, we can switch between true and false. So here under this one, we're going to create a function called toggle form. So once we call this function, we want to change the state of isSignup hook from true to false or the opposite. As you can see, we put the opposite. So whatever isSignup is, we're going to set it the opposite way. So if it's true, it's going to be false. And if it's false, it's going to be true. So after that, so let me just paste the code and replace it with this one and explain it to you. I'm going to just ignore the explaining and typing from now. So we're going to save more time, but I'm going to explain all the codes line by line. So you're going to understand the codes, but we're not going to spend time typing the codes. And also I'm going to ignore explaining the Tailwind CSS part, because the main purpose of these projects to learn the logic behind the projects, not the styling. Styling, it's much easier, and also you can use some now Copilot to easily style your project. So let me paste the code here and explain it to you. So here on the, if you look at the final version, so now we have the first, we're going to have a layout for our application. It's kind of box here with a shadow. We have background. So here we're going to create these effects here, the dark background, and also we're going to have, as you can see, this is a background pattern. And then we're going to have a button for the back button. We are using the chevron left icon that we have imported here at the top. So after that, we're going to have some title here, as you can see, welcome back. And welcome back, as you can see, it's different. When we are sign up, we see the join pizza family. So it's going to be dynamic. If isSignup hook that we have created here is true or false, we have different text. So if it's true, we're going to say join. Otherwise, we're going to say welcome back. Same thing happens here inside this title. So this title is going to be different when we are in signing or sign up. So we're going to say sign up if this one is true. If it's false, we're going to say signing. And also we're going to have the text, the description is going to be different. So if it's true, when you sign up, we show this text. Otherwise, we show this text. And after that, we're going to have a button. This button here, it says join Sam Pizza family in the sign up page. In the signing page, we just say welcome back. So it's very easy to add the logic by just adding a hook to your application. And finally, at the end, we have this new to this one, join us today. Or in the sign up, we just say already part of this family, sign in here. So this is going to be dynamic as well. So we use this hook. So based on the true or false, we're going to have different text here. And also we're going to have an on-click button here, on-click event listener in this button. So in this button, when we click on it, we're going to toggle between sign up and signing by switching the this is sign up. So this onClick event listener is going to call this function, the toggle form here, which is going to set the sign up from false to true or vice versa. So here, and also the text of this button is going to be different. So signing here, if we are in sign up, and join us today when we are in sign in position. So that was it for creating the UI. If you look at the final version, you can see now we have this UI. We're gonna create the form in the next section once we register in OneEntry. But for now, we just have created this UI. As you can see, it's working fine. So easily by just creating a hook, we could switch between sign in and sign up. And we're just gonna have one page for the authentication. So once we finish this part, I'm gonna add this one to the GitHub repository in order for you to easily follow the project. So here we're just gonna create a message. We can just say, for example, create sign in or sign up and signing page UI. So we can just click here. This time, instead of just commit, we just click here and we just say commit and push at the same time. So it's going to add this message by these changes. And this is going to also add the push, which is going to upload the code to GitHub repository. And if you look at the GitHub repository now, in the commit section, if you refresh the page, we can see we have 3 commits now. So now, for example, if you have some problem, if you see the difference between your results and my result, you can just simply come here, click on this commit, and you can just copy this code or compare this code with your code and easily find your problem in your code. Or if you don't want to spend time creating the UI, you just come here, just grab this code and paste it in your application. So that was it for creating the UI of the sign up and signing page. In the next section, we're going to sign up to OneEntry and we're gonna create the form and other things. So we'll be able to get these forms from OneEntry. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have created the UI of our sign in and sign up pages. In this section, we're going to sign up for OneEntry and create our forms for our authentication page. So in order to go to OneEntry, you can just search OneEntry on Google and go to oneentry.cloud. So here you can see this is the website. It's a ready to use backend and headless CMS. And it's very simple to use and create your application. So once you are here, you can just go and sign up or sign in. It's free to sign up and sign in. You just need to add your mobile phone number and I'm already signed up for the application. So I just came to my project section. But the first time they ask you to add your phone number, and it's very easy to receive the code and just sign up for OneEntry. Once you're here, you can just create a new project by just clicking on this icon. You just name your project. You can do the subdomain. And also, if you're new and you're using this OneEntry, you can have access for free for OneEntry. You just need to choose this subscription plan, a study plan. You can easily sign up for free and use and create our project using this study plan. If you're happy using OneEntry and if you want to continue and extend your license, there is an offer now. You can just leave a review on this G2. You don't see this link first, but after 2 days of creating your project, working with the study plan, you see this review link. You just click on that, leave an honest review. You just write your own word. Don't use AI to write down your review. After writing down your review, you can just send it to this email, promo@oneentry.cloud. Just send the screenshot of your review and they will issue your personal promo code for 2 months. If you want to use the launch one, you can just get the 2 months for free. Or if you want to use the basic, you can just get it for 1 month free by just sending them your honest review. So first you start with the study plan. Once you just get familiar and if you enjoy using OneEntry And if you want to extend your subscription, you can just leave a review here. It is very simple to leave a review. It takes only 5 minutes or less to complete your review. Another things I would like to mention is that you can leave your review in your own native language. For example, you don't need to do it in English. You can just leave it with your own native language like Arabic and etc. All right, let's create the project. You can just leave a name for your project. I just want to call it Next Pizza Shop. You can just create a subdomain for that. For example, I just say next-pizza. And if it's available, you get this check mark. And then you can just choose your plan. For example, you can choose the study for free. I'm going to just use basic for myself. After that, if you receive the promo code, you can just add it here. I just use my own promo code. So after adding the promo code, you just click on create. As you can see, it takes around 7 minutes to create the project. All right, now the project is ready. You can just click on it. As you can see, now it's ready. And then if you click on access, you can see you have this URL. For example, for me, it's next-pizza.oneentry.cloud. So you have access to your project by clicking on this icon. So in order to go inside, you need to have your username and password. You receive this password by the email that you have registered to OneEntry. So let me grab my own project email, username and password. All right, I got it. And so I just press on enter. So once you are inside, you see your dashboard. Here is just the menu. You can see the setting and etc. What you want to do first is to go to setting. You need to have a token for your project. So I have already previously created the project. I want to show you inside that one as well. So this is my test project that I've created before for this final version here. So as you can see, if you go to setting and you go to app token, you need to create a token. And based on this token, they're gonna give you this token and you can just copy it and add it to your project. So you want to create a token with any name. For example, I'll just call it token and the expiry date, and we're gonna get the token here as well. So you can just say, for example, token, we can create that and we can just grab this code and we're gonna add it to our application. We want to hide this token, so you need to add it to an environmental variable. So if you look at the eraser, we can just add a .env.local file inside the root directory of our project, which is, in our case, is next-pizza-shop. So we're going to create a file called .env.local. So let me just close everything. So inside the root, we just create a new file. We call it .env.local. And here you're going to add your token. We want to create a variable called OneEntry_token. And you're going to paste your token here. We can just get the token. As I mentioned, you just get your token. So this is the test. This is the project that we have created. You just copy the token from here and paste it after this variable. And the other things we need to add is the URL of our project. So you're going to create a variable called OneEntry_project_URL and paste your URL here. You can grab your URL by just going to your project and copy it from here. So you just copy this one and paste it here, just whatever URL you have. So let's go back. Now, if you look at the OneEntry documentation, so let's search again for OneEntry and we go to there and we go to the documentation. So for the npm package, if you go to get started, so once we have this application, we can just sign up. So we did this part. Now we need to install OneEntry. So we just need to add this code in our terminal, npm install OneEntry. After that, you can just get the OneEntry SDK in your project. So you can import define OneEntry from OneEntry. And based on that, you can have access to all these things like admins, blogs, events, users, and etc. This is one way to do that. The other way is to create an API. We get it from the define OneEntry. We pass your URL once you have the API, you can have access to all of them inside this API. So I'm going to show you later in our project how do we do it. So we need to add this config as well. So it includes the refresh token, and also we can just have a token in our application too. So the example is going to be similar to this one. So we're going to save a token in our local storage called refresh token, and also we can get access to it here by getting this item from this local storage. So, and also you need to have this token that we already got. We put it in our here, the OneEntry token. And also you need to define your language. It supports many languages. So in my case, I'm going to use English. And once you have that, as you can see, you can also get the users like this. So this is our example. For example, if you have an API, you have the access to the users, and also you can have the user here. And the way you handle errors, because they have an internal try and catch. So the way it's working, it's like you can have errors here as well. So you can have some custom errors, for example, for 400, 404, and 500. So we're going to handle the errors using this method as well. So you can come to this documentation in OneEntry and follow their suggestions about how to handle errors and etc. The next step, as you can see from the razor.io diagram, we need to have some actions to give for the authentication. So we're going to have some ability to get the information for the user and etc. So inside the root directory, we're going to create a folder called actions, and then we're going to have a folder called auth. So we go here inside the root directory. I'm going to create a folder called actions, and then we're going to have a folder called auth, and finally we're going to have a file called store refresh token.ts. So we're going to create an action to storing the refresh token in our application first. So this is very simple. We're going to have a use server, which is a server action. So the users cannot have access to this code. So we're going to protect these actions. What we want to do first is to import cookies from Next headers. And then we want to create a function called store refresh token, which receive the token and store it in our cookie. So once we call the cookie store by just calling these cookies from Next header, we can just save it with this name, refresh underline token, and we're going to save this token here. We're going to have another file as well by just retrieving that, because we want to store it, and also we're going to get access to it as well. So here we're going to create another file called retrieve refresh token.ts. This is going to be very similar. It's a server action, and also we want to import cookies, but this time instead of setting it, we're gonna get the cookie. So we're gonna get the cookie with the name refresh token, and we want to get its value and return it if we need it by creating this function, retrieve refresh token. Now we want to create a file for OneEntry to get the information like API and connect it to our application. If you look at the razor.io, we're gonna have a file called OneEntry.ts inside the library folder. Let me just grab this name, and we just go to library and just create a file called OneEntry.ts. So here's the code. So as I mentioned from the documentation, first we need to import define OneEntry. So I'm using this method, this second method, to define the API. So first we import the define entry, and we're gonna call it and use the API. So first we import define OneEntry from OneEntry. The other things we need to import is for the OneEntry, we want to use the error types of OneEntry because we are using TypeScript. We need to define the errors later. And also two functions that we have created here, the actions, the retrieve refresh token and also the store refresh token. We're going to import them here. First thing first, we want to define the type of the API. So here in the documentation, they call it API only, but I call it API client. So if you see the difference, it's the same. So you can call it API. I just call it API client. So this is going to be the type. The type is coming from the define OneEntry. And first, we're going to create a variable called API client, similar to here. And first we just say null, and then we're gonna set that API. We're gonna call that. So we're gonna create a function called setup API client. We wanna get the URL. Remember, we have created the URL and we got it from our application. So we store it inside this environmental variable. The name is OneEntry project _ URL. In order to have access to that, we just need to have process.env dot, and then we add the variable name here. So first thing first, we want to check if the API URL from the .env file exists. We're going to keep continue. If not, we're going to throw an error. And also, if the API client doesn't exist, we want to get it and define it again. So first thing first, we're going to get the refresh token, and also we just say API client, similar to here, equals to define OneEntry. We want to pass the URL, which is here. We are getting from the .env file. We want to define the configurations, which is a language, authentication, and etc., and errors. So the authentication includes the refresh token. So we're using this function to get it. If it's not available, we just say undefined. And also we just set the custom authentication to false. We're going to have a save function with the new token. And if there is a no token, we want to just store, if this token is available, we want to store it in our local storage by just using this store refresh token that we have created. And also we want to handle the error. As I mentioned, in order to handle error, they suggest us to use this error. We just say errors, and we can just have some custom errors as well. So is shell is false, as you can see from here. And we're gonna have some custom errors. It's the same, but I have added the TypeScript as well. So we get the error. For example, for 400, we have bad request. For 404, we have not find. And for the 500, we have server error. You can add more things, anything. For example, here we get a suggestion 503 and etc. So, but for simplicity, I just add 3 here. And finally, if there is no refresh token, we're gonna throw an error saying error fetching refresh token. So after that, if it's still we don't have the API client, we want to throw an error. Otherwise, we want to return that API client. I want to mention again, API client is the same as this API. So it's just the name is different in my application. So let's keep continuing. So here, if the API client exists already, so we don't want to create it, we want to fetch the API client. So here we make a condition if the API client is already initiated. So if it's not available, we want to set it up. Otherwise, if it's still not available, we want to just throw an error. Otherwise, we want to return this API client. So now we have this API client. We can use it in our application to do several things. We can just use it for authentication. We can use it for creating the orders and etc. I'm going to show you all of them in the following sections. All right, that was it for OneEntry integration. Let's add this one to GitHub. I want to add everything to GitHub. So another thing I want to do before adding to GitHub is to add another .env file as an example, so you can just use it for your application so you know what to do. So I'm just going to say .env.example. It's going to be the same, but I want to just remove my token. So this one is going to be added in the GitHub repository, but the main one is going to be ignored. So if we go to .ignore, and here I just say what you want to ignore is just .env.local. So this is going to ignore the .env.local, but it's not going to ignore the .env.example. So now if you look at our source control, if we add everything, you can see I'm uploading the .env.example, but not the .env.local. So let's commit and push this one. So let's close everything here. So it didn't work. Let me try. Oh, I didn't add a message here. So I'm going to add a message. So let's just say, for example, add OneEntry integration with token management. Let's commit and push. So let's go to our commits. Now inside our GitHub repository, you can see inside the commits, we have add OneEntry integration with token management. What I mean by the .env is this. So now we have the .env.example, which you can use to get these variables, but you don't see the .env.local. So I'm protecting myself from being exposed on the internet. And also you can see all the codes you can get from here. So that was it for this part, adding the OneEntry integration with token management. In the next section, we're going to add the forms, like the one in the final version. We're going to get these forms from OneEntry and show it in our application. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have added the OneEntry integration with token management. In this section, we're going to complete our authentication page that we have created, and we're going to add the form including email, name, and password. So what we need to do first is to create a form inside OneEntry. If you look at the OneEntry example, that the test that I did before, I want to show you that we have to create a form called users with the marker users. And this form is for both sign in and sign up. And here inside the form fields, we're going to add a set of attributes, which is called users, which includes name, email, and password. We need to create these attributes inside the setting. So if you go to setting, we can see we have an attribute called users, and it includes 3 attributes: name, email, and password. So let's do that for our project. So here, first we go to setting, attributes, and here I'm going to create a new attribute called users. The market is going to be users as well, and this is going to be for users. We're going to create that, and then inside this one we're going to add 3 attributes. First is going to be name, the marker is going to be name, the type is going to be string, and then we're going to have email, the type is going to be string, then we have password, also with the type is string. Here we can see that these attributes have some features. For example, the name is the attribute for sign in. So here inside the setting, we need to choose it, use in sign up form. So here I'm going to go to name, choose it for sign up form, because for signing form, we don't need name. For the email, the setting is use as login. And for the password, we should choose this option, use as password. Okay, so now we have the attributes. We can use them inside forms. So we go to forms, we're going to create a new form like the test. The name is going to be users with the marker users. So we just say users. And if you go to the setting, we go to form field, we can just choose login and registration form. And for the attribute here, we choose users, and it's going to be name, email, and password. These things we have added inside the setting. So this for the OneEntry side. Now we need to create some actions in our application to be able to get the data from OneEntry. So here you can see inside the eraser.io, we need to have some actions for the authentication. So we have already created some retrieve refresh token and store refresh token. So here I'm going to create a new action called login.ts. So here's the code. Let me just explain it real quick. This is a server action. So only the users, only the admin of the website can have access to this one. The users in the browsers cannot see this code. So that's why we are creating a server action. First, we need to, these are TypeScript, the type of attributes we are importing from OneEntry. And also we need to fetch API client from OneEntry. Remember, we have created this API client. We return this API client from inside this OneEntry.ts. So we're going to import that. Also, we need to import cookies from Next headers. and also redirect from next navigation, because after login, we want to redirect the user to the home page. So first we define the error response types, which is going to be number for status code and string for message. Then we want to create a function to get the login form data. So the form that we have inside the OneEntry, this form, users, we want to be able to get it. So we're going to create a function to get that. First, we want to fetch the API client. Then we want to use this method, get form by markers, to get the form. Remember, the marker for this form was, this is a marker, and then the marker is users. So we just pass these users here and also the language, so we can get the form and save it inside this response. So what we want to get here, if you look at the final version here, inside the sign in page, we just want to get email and password. So, but the form we are getting here includes three things: email, name, email, and password. We don't want to get the name. So we're going to filter out the name by just adding this filter, and we just say remove this marker with the, remove this attribute with the name marker. And then we want to save this to the filter attributes. Also, we want to check if there is an error, we want to throw an error. Otherwise, we want to have another function for logging submit. So when we click on this button, we want to submit the form and ask for login. So this is going to have two inputs, email and password. So first thing first, we want to get the API client using that OneEntry.ts that we have created, and we're going to pass the data. The data we need to log in is email and password. Remember, the marker was email and password here, so always be sure about this one. You have to be careful about the marker. If you choose a name or anything else, you have to choose the same one in your code. So here we use the email and password, and we want to use this method auth to authenticate the user, and we're going to pass this email plus this data. So now after that, if there is no response, we want to send an error. Otherwise, we want to set a cookie with the name access token, and we're gonna set the age of this cookie for 24 hours. And also we want to set another cookie for refresh token, which is for 7 days. And otherwise, we want to return an error. After that, if there is no error and everything is okay, we're going to redirect the user to the home page. Remember, we have imported redirect from next navigation. So we're going to use that one to redirect the user to the home page. The next action we need to create is for sign up. So we just say signup.ts. So this is the code. This is a server action because we want to we want to hide the code from users. First, we want to import the attributes types from OneEntry. We want to be able to fetch data from fetch the API client using this OneEntry.ts that we have created. And also, we want to have the sign up data type as well, which we can get from OneEntry as well. First, we create a function for getting the form data. It's the same as the login, because the login and the sign up has the same form. So we're going to use the same method. We're going to pass the marker of users. We get the response. If there is an error, we want to throw an error. Otherwise, we want to handle the sign up. So for the sign up, we need three informations: email, password, and name. Login was only email and password. So for the sign up, we have three informations. First, we get the API using this OneEntry.ts, and we want to send these data: email, password, and also the name. And the marker is very important. Remember the marker, you always check the marker: name, email, and password. So email, password, and name. So the auth data is email and password. The form data we need to add is name, and also need to add these default data. Otherwise, we're going to get some TypeScript error: email and phone push and phone SMS. This can be some dummy data. So after that, we want to use this method, sign up, to sign up the user. And also we want to pass this email. So once we sign up the user, if there is an error, we want to return the error. Otherwise, we want to just return this value, which is the user is, for example, successfully signed up. So this one value comes from OneEntry. Now that we have all these functions, login and sign up, we can complete our authentication page. The authentication page that we have created before only was UI. So I'm going to replace the code with this UI and explain the things that I have added. So let me just replace the code. So here at the top, now we have imported use effect, form event, and suspense from React as well. We need them to handle the forms and also fetch the data for the user. We need to install two more things from ShatCN, input and label. So if we go back to ShatCN, first we go to input. I'm gonna just grab this installation code and paste it inside this terminal. And also we need to install label as well. So we go to label. Let's copy that, paste it here. So I've also imported some icons from Lucid React. We need the icon, like the final version. This is the chevron left icon. And also we need another icon for loading effect. This loading is an icon as well. It's a loader. So we're going to import the sign up and login functions that we have created, get sign up form data, and also handle sign up submit, and get login form data and handle login submit. And also we need to import use router and use search params. We need to use router to go, for example, when I click on this icon, I want to go to the home page. So we're going to use router, and also we want to use params to get this data, this param type. It can be login or sign up. And also we need to install Sonar. Sonar is also is a part of ShatCN. So we can just install it through ShatCN. So let's go to ShatCN and search for Sonar. This is a toast notification. When I click on it, you can see the toast notification. So we can just copy this and paste it in our terminal to install Sonar. And here we have imported the attribute types from OneEntry. And also we need to define two extra TypeScript for sign up and login form data, which for the sign up we have email, password, and name. And also for the login we have email and password. So before we have created this piece of state called isSignUp, now we want to have this router. We want to initialize use router and just get the router. We use this one to go to homepage when we click on the chevron left icon. Then also we want to initialize search params to get the params from the URL. Then we want to have a piece of state to store the data inside the form. So here you can see now we have to just write down, for example, our email and password. So in order to record these data, we're going to have a piece of state called form data. The initial value is going to be an empty array. And also we have another piece of data called input values. So now, after that, we're going to have another piece of state for loading effect. What I mean by loading effect, when we come to this page, you can see we have a loading effect. So until we get the form from OneEntry, we need to show the loading. So we're going to know first we set the loading to true. When the form is fetched, we want to set it to false. And also for submitting the form, when we click on the submit button, so for example, if I have something here, we can see we have a loading effect in the button as well. So this is submitting for having the loading effect inside the button. Then we have another piece of state for error. So if there is an error like this one, we want to show it under the form. So we're going to use this piece of state. So first thing first, we want to use effect React hook to get the data from the URL. What we want to get from the URL is this type equals login. We want to have this information. So we just say const type equals to search params, and we want to get the param with the name type. So the name here is type. We want to get it and save it inside this type. And based on this type, we want to set is signup to true or false. For example, if signup is type is equal to if it's not equal to login, we want to have a signup. Otherwise, we want to have sign in. And also, anytime we have a change inside search params, we want to call this use effect. That's why we have added this search params here. Also, we have another use effect to fetch the data from OneEntry and get the form data. First thing first, we want to set the loading to true and also set the error to null. We try to fetch the data based on if we are in a sign up or sign in state. We want to get the data from OneEntry. For example, if it's sign in, we want to get this one. Otherwise, we want to get the other one. But basically, both are the same. If I remember, I'll show you that both of them, because we have one form users, we could use one. But just for clean code, I have separated the function. So we're going to call this function, get the form data. If there is an error, we want to set the error. Otherwise, we want to set the form data to the data we are getting from the form, from the OneEntry. And finally, we want to set the is loading to false. So now we have the form data in our application. After that, as you can see, we have handle input change. So once we change the input, for example, email, password, or in the sign up, we change the name, email, and password. We want to track the changes by setting the value of it and the name of it to the e.target. So if you're familiar with the JSX, we can simply set the input values. We keep the previous values and add the new one. Here, we just need to add the name in the bracket and the value here. So, for example, we write down name here. So the name is going to be inside the input values. After that, if you change the email, the previous value, which was name, is going to be there. And then the email is going to be added to it. And finally, we want to handle the submit. We want to submit the form. First thing first, we want to prevent the default behavior of submission, which is refreshing the page. Then we want to set the is submitting to true because we want to have a loading effect in the button. And also to set the error to null. If there is an error previously, we want to remove the error. Then we want to try to submit the form. First thing first, we want to be sure that the input data is available, which is email, password, and name. For example, for sign up, we need email, password, and name. But for signing, we just need email and password. So if these data are available and the user have added them, we can just request to submit it by calling this function that we have created inside signup.ts. Remember here we have created this function. We're going to call this function and send these input values. Then we want to, if everything is okay, we want to toast a notification just saying user has been created. Otherwise, we want to throw an error. In other case, if we are in a signing, we want to check both the email and password are there. And then we want to call this function handle login submit, which we have created inside login.ts, which is here. And if there is an error, we want to throw an error. And finally, after everything, we want to set the loading effect inside the button to be false. So everything is okay. The only changes we have done is to add it here, the form header. We have this header, join pizza family and welcome back. Let me show it to you again. This one. And we want to add the form with the loading effect. So if its loading is true, we want to see this loader too, and saying loading delicious forms. It's kind of funny to say that. So we're gonna just, for example, if you refresh it, we can see the loading delicious form and also the loader. Otherwise, if the form is already there, we want to show the form. So the form is here. We want to loop through the data from the form data and show it inside this form. The label is going to be, remember the form data, for example, title, which we have inside OneEntry. This title, name, and also the input. The input is going to have based on the input, we're going to have different type. For example, if it's a password, we want to have a password. Otherwise, we want to have a text. Because in the password, we don't want to show people the password. So the type is going to be password. And we're going to have this unchanged event listener to handle the changes inside the form. And also we want to disable the form if we are submitting it. And if there is an error, we want to show the error. Yeah, here. If there is an error, we want to show the error. And finally, inside the button, we want to disable it when we are submitting it. And if it's submitting, now we want to have a different button. First, we want to see the loader if it's submitting. Otherwise, we want to see this button. So we have just changed it based on the these states, submitting and also the loading effect. Everything else will be the same. So let's test our application. Let's go to our application here. First thing first, this button is going to bring us to the home page. So we have sign in and sign up. We can see everything is working fine. So let's add name, email, and password. For example, I say name Sahand, email sahand@gmail.com. I set the same for password. Let's click on join. I want to show you that we get an error if we do it like this. We need to add another things in OneEntry, which is account creation field. As you can see this error. If we check the terminal, we have an error saying user of provider not found. So if you look at my test OneEntry, you can see inside users, inside the authentication provider, I've added an authentication provider, which is email. All right. So here we need to go to users, authentication provider, and create a new one, which is email. The type is going to be email, and the marker is going to be email as well. Let's add that. So, and then we can try again. Let's submit the same form. So now we get another error, define form. As you can see, we get an error here, define a form. The reason for that, if you look at my test, inside the, I think, let me check, inside the authentication, forms, users, form field is okay, setting, I think inside the users, here, when we have the authentication provider, we need to go to the setting, and here we need to add a form. I think it was, yes, we need to choose a form here. I've already chosen users here inside this. So if you look at our new OneEntry project, we can just go to users, authentication providers, we go to setting, and then here I'm going to choose the form users. All right, I think everything is fine. We can try again. Let's submit the same form. Okay, the sign-in was successful. The only things we didn't get was the sonner. So we need to add the sonner. If we look at the sonner, we need to add it to our layout.tsx. So we need to import it and add it. So let me just copy this. We go to the layout.tsx and we just add it here. Let's try again. So here we're gonna sign up again. Let's sign up with, for example, Sahand2, email sahand2@gmail.com. Let's copy the same password. Okay, we got this toast notification. User has been created. Please enter your credentials to log in. So now I just choose the email and password and click here. And this is logged me in and also redirected me to the homepage. Remember here inside login.ts at the end, if everything is correct, we're going to be redirected to the homepage. Also, if we check the application inside the browser and we go to local storage, we can see now we have, in the cookie, now we have, let's see. Yeah, we have two new things, access token and also the refresh token. So we have added these two to our application. So once we have this one, actually we are logged in. We can use this one later to be sure that the user is authenticated or not. So that was it for adding the authentication using OneEntry. In the next section, we're going to create this header, and we're going to show the information of the user inside the header. For example, we're going to have if we logged in, we want to see the avatar of the user. So let's add this one to the GitHub. So the message is going to be, for example, add authentication form components for signup and logging using OneEntry. So we can commit and push. So let's check our GitHub repository. Let's go back to our commits. You can see now we have a new commit. And if you have any problem, just come here and check this code and compare it with yourself, or we can just copy and paste and to avoid any possible errors. So in the next section, we're going to work on the navbar of the project. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed the sign up and sign in pages and completed our authentication. In this section, we're going to work on the navbar of our project. As you can see from the final version, we have a logo on the left side with the gradient color. Then we have a search bar with this effect. Then we have a cart icon and login and order now buttons. So once we are sign up, we see an avatar. Let me just register a new user. For example, s4@gmail.com. Let me just choose the same email and password. So let me sign in. Once you sign in, you can see we have an avatar here with the name, email, profile, order, and logout button. So we want to have a mechanism that when we get the user session, if the user exists and log in, we want to show the profile. Otherwise, we want to see that login button. So let's start with our project. We need to create more actions inside the authentication. One is the get user session and the other one is the logout. So here for the logout, we need an action. Also, we need to get the information of the user. So here, let's create another action. We call it get user session.ts. Let me just paste the code. So this is a server-side action. So the user cannot have access to the information of this. So we need to get the API from OneEntry using the OneEntry.ts file that we have created. Also, we need a cookie from Next headers. Here we define the types of the error, number for the status code, and the string for message. So here we create a function called getUserSession. First, we get the API using this fetch API client function that we have imported here. Also, we need to get the access token from the cookie. So we create a variable called access token. We can get it from the cookie using the get method, and also the cookie name is access token. If there is no access token, we're going to return null. Otherwise, we want to try and get the information of the user. How do we get it? The API that we have created, there is a method users and then set access token. So the access token that we have get it, we want to pass this one, and then using this method get user, we can get the user information. So if there is no current user or the current user.id doesn't exist, we want to throw an error. Otherwise, we want to return the current user. And also, we want to catch the possible errors. Any errors happens, we want to show it here. Another action we need to create is the logout.ts. This is also very simple. This is a server action. We get the API from OneEntry and also the cookie. Here we define the error types, and we create a function called logout action. First, we get the cookie. We want to have a variable called cookie store. We call the cookie. First, we want to get the refresh token and also the access token. And also, we want to initialize the API from OneEntry. If there is no refresh token or access token, we want to return a message. You are currently, sorry, if there is no refresh token or access token, we're gonna create a message called you are not currently logged in. So it means you are logged out. So we don't need to call the function. Otherwise, we want to try and catch. First, we want to use a method called auth provider from API of the OneEntry. We want to pass the access token, and also we want to use a method called logout to log out the user. And also we want to send this email, which is in OneEntry. If you remember, we have authentication provider, which is here, email. The marker is email. So here we pass this marker and log out the user. So now we want to see some possible error. We just say if the logout.response is not Boolean, send an error. And also if the logout is successful, we want to delete the cookies as well. So the cookie store that we got here, we want to use that one and delete the refresh token firstly. And also we want to delete something called user identifier in the cookie. And the other things we want to do in case the cookie left, we want to set the cookie to the expiry immediately. For example, this refresh token, we want to set the age to 0, or the access token, or the user identifier. So in case we didn't delete it successfully, we want to set at least the expiry date to 0. And finally, if everything is okay, we want to return a message, logout successful. And if there is an error, we want to show the error here. So these are the actions we needed to create the navbar. And if you check the eraser, we want to create a component called navbar.tsx. And in order to see the navbar in all pages in the main directory, we want to put the navbar inside the layout.ts or tsx. If we add the layout here, we see the navbar in all these pages that we have created or we're going to create later. And we don't see this navbar inside the authentication. So let's create a component first. Inside the components, I'm going to create a new component called navbar.tsx. Let's create a React functional component first and then add it to the layout. We haven't created layout inside the main yet, as you can see. Let's create a new layout file. So we just say layout.tsx. Let me just paste the code here. This is very similar to the other layout. No, sorry, I think I pasted the wrong code here. Yeah, this is the correct one. We just need to have pass the children. Children means the rest of the page. So, for example, in the final version, this is a navbar and this is the children. So in the home page, this is a navbar, this is the children. So always navbar would be on the top and the children is the rest. For example, in the cart page, this is navbar and this is the children. So here we have the children, we put the navbar here, and also we have the children. We need to create the footer. Footer is also in all pages. As you can see, this is the footer. Footer doesn't have any functionality. It's just a boilerplate, but it's a very beautifully designed footer. It's fully actually responsive. I'm gonna add the footer as well. So let's create a component called footer.tsx. As it doesn't have any functionality, I just want to paste the code. It's just the text and design. So we have just imported some icons here and show it inside our application. So now that we have created the footer, we can just go to the layout and fix this error. We just need to change the end of this. Now we don't have any error inside the layout. Let's check our application. So this is the final version. Let's go back to the home page. As you can see, we have the navbar at the top, and this is the home page, and we have this footer. The footer seems like it has some problem. Let me see. So the footer.tsx layout, we put it here. So we have installed all of them. There's nothing left here. Let me just go there and refresh the page one more time. Okay, it's working. So this is the footer. Footer is working. Also, we have added the navbar at the top. So let's complete the navbar component. Let's go to navbar. Let me just paste the code and I explain it at the top. So navbar component is a client-side component. The reason we made this one client-side for interactivities. In the final version, you can see we need to click on, for example, this search bar or here. So we cannot make the navbar in the server side. We need to create it inside the client side. And also we need to import use state, use effect, and use ref from React to add some piece of states. And also we want to get information of the user. We need the link from next link to go from one page to another. For example, if we click on profile, we need to go to the profile page. Orders, we need to go to orders. So we need to have that link. We are using button from ShatCN and also import from ShatCN to create this button plus the input, which is this search bar. We have imported some icons, shopping cart, user, menu, X, logout, and search. For example, here you see there is a search icon. Here is an icon for the cart. We have some icons here for the profile, cart, and also this logout. So we are using them for here. We need to install a package from ShatCN called dropdown menu in order to have this dropdown menu. As you can see, we have dropdown menu here. So let's go back to ShatCN. We go to dropdown menu. It's here. We can just install it using this code. We just copy it and we go back to Visual Studio Code and paste it here. Also, we need to have the avatar. Avatar, we are using avatar for this icon. Avatar enables you to add, for example, the initial of the name of the user inside that. So let's install avatar as well. We go to ShatCN, search for avatar. As you can see, these are the avatars. We can just copy them, paste them in the terminal and install the avatar. We're going to import the get user session that we have created recently in the auth action to get the information from the user. Also, we need the logout action that we have created here inside logout.ts. We are using use router to navigate from one page to another. And also we want to import the user types from OneEntry. The other things we need to create is the type. This is the for use cart store. We want to create this one later. I'm going to delete it for now. So I want to dedicate one session to create the cart. So I'm going to delete it for now. So this cart as well. Later we're going to create it. So here we have a piece of state called is mobile menu open because we want to know if the page is in the mobile size or not. So if we are in the mobile size, we want to have this drop down menu. So we have created this is mobile open piece of state, and also the initial value is false. And also we want to have another piece of state called search query, which is for our search icon here, the search bar. We want to keep track the things that we write down in the search bar. We have user state. Once we get the information from the user, we want to save it inside this state. We want to have the loading effect. For example, here, when we refresh the page, as you can see, we have a loading effect until the user comes. So we have created this piece of state to track the loading effect. Also, we want to have some reference for the mobile menu, and we want to initialize a router from use router. First thing first, we want to use effect to fetch the data once the page is loaded. We set the loading to true first, and then we want to use the get user session function that we have created here to get the user data. If the user data comes correctly, we want to set this piece of state to that information. And after that, we want to set the loading to false. And here we want to just catch the error. And if there is an error, we want to show it and set the user to null and loading to false as well. once we create this one, as this is an asynchronous function, we cannot make use effect asynchronous. So we make this function asynchronous and we call the function here, fetch user. Another things we need to have is another use effect to close the navbar when we're clicking outside. For example, here, when the item is open, when this menu is open, when I click outside, like here, I want the menu to be closed. So this use effect is for tracking that. So if there is an event for the mouse, we have a mouse event, we wanna close that mobile menu button. So as you can see, we're gonna handle that, and we finally, if everything is correct, we wanna set the is mobile menu open to false. So any other things, any other, not only mouse event. For example, if you click on the escape button on the keyboard, when this one is open and I click on escape, I want to close it. So here is to do that. So when we click on the escape key, we want to set the mobile menu to false. And these are just we want to set some timeout to avoid immediate closure. So once we just click, as you can see, we want to prevent some click and key down. Once we do it, we want to immediately close it. So we have added this part as well. These are just the JavaScript part. It's not related to our project, but I would just want to briefly explain them. Finally, we want to have a function call for the logout functionality. Once we call this function, we want to use the logout action that we have created in this file to log out the user. And if we log out the user, we want to return the user to the home page by just using this router.push/. And if this one happens, we want to set the user to null and set the mobile menu to false as well. And these are just for the handling the error. Finally, for the search, once we type something here in the menu and click on press enter, we want to call this function and redirect the user to this page /search with the search term. The search term will be equal to the search query which we are typing here. Whatever we type here, for example, I type here nice and press enter, we will be redirected to this page /search term nice. And if we do this one, we want to also close the mobile menu and everything. And here's another function to close the mobile menu if we call it. And also we want to have a function to toggle between opening and closing of the mobile menu. When we click on this hamburger icon or this cross icon, we want to toggle between opening and closing. So these are just some extra things. When we are scrolling in the mobile side, we want to prevent the body scroll. For example, when we open it, we don't want to scroll the page. Now I'm not able to scroll the page. I'm scrolling, but not normal time it's working. But when the mobile menu is open, you cannot scroll the page. So this use effect is for that one. So finally, we're gonna use these functions that we have created to create our navbar. First thing first, we want to have the logo on the left side, which is saying Sahan Pizza. And this is going to be like with the color gradient from red to orange. Then we want to have the search bar. Let me just bring this one and show here. So we're going to have this search bar, this search, and then cart, and then the menu. So first we have the search input. Then we have the cart button. So as I mentioned before, the cart functionality we're going to add later. So I'm going to remove this one for now, so we don't get an error here. And then we want to have a loading effect to show the logo on the right side. If there is a login, I want to see the loading effect like this loading effect. Otherwise, if there is a user, we want to have the drop down menu. So when we click on it, we want to see this drop down menu. And drop down menu includes avatar, the user data like name. We have the data, as you can see, name, user identifier. We want to have a menu that's saying profile, and then we want to have the orders. And also at the end, we want to have the logout. And when we click on the logout menu, we want to log out the user by calling this function handle logout that we have created at the top. And finally, these are things for the mobile size. So this is the authentication button. So once we are not logged in, we want to see this login and order now. So login and also the order now. And here the menu for the mobile size. So in the mobile size, we want to see this X cross icon and also the menu. So let me log in again. Let me see. Let me just put the email that we have created recently. So in the mobile menu, we have the search bar at the top. This is the search bar. We have the input. Then we have some links to the link to go to the cart page, this one. And then we want to have the cart number that we're going to later add. So I'm going to delete that for now. And let's bring this one to the left side. So the cart, here we should see the name and email. So this is the name part. And the identifier is the email, I believe so. And then we're going to have the profile, your profile. Then we have the pizza orders. And finally, we have the logout. So it's similar to the normal size, but it's a different style. And when we click on the logout button, we want to call this handle logout function and log out the user. And if we are not logged in, let me log out. We want to see search bar, cart, login, and order now. So first we want to see the login button, then the order now button, as you can see here. These are common for both login and the logout condition. Otherwise, instead of seeing the avatar, we want to see the login and order now. All right, so that was it for the Navbar component. So let's add this one to the GitHub. First thing first, let me just check our website is working fine. Let's just refresh the page. As you can see, inside the homepage, we have the Navbar on the top. We have the footer on the bottom. This is a search. Let's search something. For example, good. We press enter. We go to /search. Search term good. That's working fine. We have the cart. Going to the /cart. And then also we have this menu with the name, email, these menus, logout. Let's log out the user. Now we see these buttons. So everything is working fine. And this is the menu in the mobile size. So it's working fine. So let's add this one to the GitHub. So this is going to be with the message. We can just say add navbar component. Also, as we added the footer, we just say add navbar and footer components. So we can commit and push. So now if you check our GitHub repository, we should see a new commit saying add the navbar and footer components, as you can see here. So if you don't want to just type the code, you can just come here and grab the code and use it for yourself. So that was it for adding the Navbar component. In the next section, we're going to work on the home page, and we want to be able to get these information, these catalogs and the products like the pizzas. We want to be able to create them inside the OneEntry and show them inside the home page. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed our Navbar component and added to our layout.tsx. Now we have it in all our pages. In this section, what we want to do is to complete our homepage. If you look at the final version here, we can see that we have a hero section with a title, description. We have some call to action buttons. We have an image here with some hover effect. Here we have some static text like app delivery, like a rating. And here we have another section, why choose sand pizza. We have some like explanations here. So I just want to show you this is completely responsive. All the sections, for example, the top one, as you can see, In all the sizes, we have different text size and different ways to show these sections. For example, this one, we have 1, 2, and 4 columns in different sizes. The next section is the testimonial section. We have some kind of testimonials are not real people. These people are not real. As you can see here, this is responsive as well. The next part is this section, the number of customers, delivered pizza, and also the years of working. So this is like this. Okay. And then we have the address of the kitchen. These are fake data as well. You can customize it based on your need. I'm not going to explain much in these static sections. The things we want to do basically is to show the pizzas that we have in our OneEntry and show it here. These are basically menus, and each of them has some products or catalog. So we have just here, for example, 3 menu, a spicy pizza, classic pizzas, cheese lovers, and each of them has different pizzas. And also each of them is a card. So we're going to create a component that receives the information of the pizza and show it as a card. For example, the image, title, there's a description or ingredients, the price, the availability, and also this button. So let me just show you in the OneEntry that I created before how to add pages, catalogs, and etc. So we're going to have this section, pages. These pages you create, for example, I have created spicy pizza, classics, and cheese lovers. So the type is the catalog page. So if you go to the setting of these pages, you can see the type needs to be chosen catalog page. As you can see here, the attributes are blocks and forms, different things you can have for the pages, but for the catalog pages, we just choose the name and also the type. Then when you add these things, it goes to your catalog. So now each of them has different products. So for example, this spicy pizza has these 5 pizzas. The price and everything is here. You can edit them. For example, you can go here, edit it. You can edit the header or attributes. As you can see, this is the set of attributes. So product set. We need to create this attribute inside the setting. So I'm going to show you how to do it in a minute. So once you create this one in your setting, you see these attributes, for example, title, price, description, currency, image, and availability. For the image, you can have some preview as well. So you can have some template for the image to define the sizes and how to show it. So if you go to the setting and you go to attributes, we need to create an attribute for product like this one, product set. So here, as you can see, we have different attributes: title, price, description, currency, image, and availability. And for example, for price, we need to go to the setting and choose the contains price. And also the currency, we need to choose contains currency. For the image, here I choose this preview template. My preview template is just the name, and optimize the images accordingly. So in order to create the template, you just need to go to the preview template and create your own template. For example, here I have created a template called mark preview template. This is the marker. And in the setting, as you can see, I have a setting for vertical, horizontal, or square images. So I choose, for example, 50 pixels for the width and 150 for the height for the vertical. So we need to define this one to have a template for our image. So that's it. I think these are the things we need to create our pages and catalogs. Let's do it in our OneEntry for our current project. So let's start with the pages. So for the pages, we want to create some pages, for example, a spicy pizza. Let me just grab this one to create the same one. To create a page, the type is going to be a catalog page. The title, for example, spicy pizza, the URL, I just choose it should be connected. So for example, spicy underline pizzas. The name in the menu, for example, I choose spicy pizza as well. So that's for the page. Once you create it, you see it inside the catalog. Now you can add the catalog, but we didn't create the attribute yet. So we go to setting, we go to attributes and create a new attribute similar to the test one. We call it product set with the marker product. So let's create that marker product. The name is product set. The type is going to be, I believe it's going to be products. And then we just create it. Let's go inside. And here we're going to create the attributes. The attributes we have for the product set is title. Let me just copy the marker, for example, P underline title. The name is going to be title. We select as a string. We create that. The next one is price. So we just say price. The type is going to be as integer, so it can accept number. We create that. Also, you need to go to the setting here and choose contains price. The next one is going to be the description. So let's add the marker P underline description. The name is going to be description. Type is text. I think in order to have a long text, you can just have text. Currency is the next one. So currency type is going to be, I think it's a string. It's just a string. And also we can choose contains currency. The next one is going to be image. So let's create it. P underline image. The name is going to be image. The type is going to, if you have one image, you can choose image. Otherwise, if you have a group of images, you can choose this one. Let's create that. As I mentioned, we need to create a template for that. Let's create a template. I'm gonna go back to go to the preview template, similar to here. I just choose this marker and the name is going to be my preview template. It can be any names, it doesn't matter. You can just create it. And in the setting, you can choose different sizes for your different things. For example, 50 for width, 150 for height. Choose it, for example, in the middle top. Here, width is going to be 150, height is going to be 50, and for example, middle, it doesn't matter. It depends on your choice. And here, for example, middle, square, and we can just add this. No. I already added, sorry. So this is the add, and let's choose the default preview. Okay, let's go back now. We can choose this one in our attributes, the product set image. Let's go there. And for the preview template, I choose this my preview template. Okay. So the next things we need to create inside the product set is availability. So I want to have, if you look at the final version, you can see the product can be available or it can be out of order. So the owner of the pizza shop can choose that this pizza is available or not. So here, I'm going to add this one as well. Available. A name is available, and it's the attribute type is a list because it has a list. The list can be available or out of order. So let's go inside and add our lists. So in the option of the list, we have two of them. Out of order, the value is out of order or available. So let me just grab this name. Out of order, value is out of order. What is the attribute value is a string. That's fine. And I want to add another one for available. So available, the value is available and also it's a string. Okay, this is going to, let's add it. Okay, now we have these two lists inside the available. I think that's it for creating the product. Let's create one product here in a spicy pizza. For example, the header. Let me just check my catalog and get some pizza suggestion. For example, this Divana. Let's add something else. Yeah, this one. Okay, so let's add this and we go to attribute. Here, if we choose the product set attribute that we have created in the setting, we can see that now the attributes, the title, which going to be the same price, for example, $10, $11, doesn't matter, $12. Description, we can add some ingredients. Let's see what we have added here. For example, this ingredient, let's add that. The currency, for example, US dollar. The image, let's add an image for that. For example, I add, I don't know exactly which pizza, but let's add this image as an example. And as we are using the image preview, we should see the preview here as well. All right, so you can see it here. You can also edit this image as well. For example, you can change the border radius. You can change the position left to right. For me, as I choose to be in the center, middle as a preview, so it came like that. Let me check again in the setting if this is correct or not. So we go to attribute, product set, image. Yeah, we are using this my preview. Let's choose this one as well. Okay, let's go back to catalog. Yeah, this is as you can see, it's using our preview template. So, and then for the availability, we can choose it available or out of order. For example, we choose available. Okay, now we have one product in our project. So now our job is to show this product in the homepage. For the homepage, we need to have a file called page.js inside the main directory to have the homepage, the /homepage. We have already created that. Inside the main, we have page.tsx. We just now saying homepage. Let's add the code and explain it to you. Or let me paste the code. Probably we're gonna get some error because we need to create some components and actions for this page to work. Let's create them first, and then I'm gonna explain this page. So the actions we need to create, now that we have completed the auth actions, now we want to create some actions for catalog. So we need to create some actions for catalog. The first one is to get catalog with products. So I'm gonna just grab this one, go to the action. Let's add this one. So we're gonna create a folder called catalog and this file, get catalog with products.ts. So this is a server action. As you can see, we want to protect this code from the user. So we have created inside the server side. And also we have some types for the page that we get from the OneEntry. And also we want to fetch the API client from OneEntry to use the API and just get the product and etc. We need to create another server action called get catalog. So let's create that one as well. So this is going to be get catalog.ts. All right, so here, this is a server action as well. We get the API from OneEntry and also the types of the page. What we want to do is to create a function called get catalogs. First, we initialize API. Then we can get the pages by using a method called get root pages from OneEntry. And we can filter out the catalog pages by using this. We just say, if the page type is equal to catalog page, you just get those. And finally, we want to return these catalog pages. So catalog pages is basically we are using here, this title. Okay, now we have created those. Let's go back to this server action and complete it. So there's no error here as well. So here we want to create a function to get the catalog with products. So first we get only the catalog. Now we want to get the products inside that. First we initialize API and then we get the catalog from the function that we have created. based on that catalog, we want to get the products of that catalog. So the product is going to be that. We want to use this method, get products by page ID. And we have the page here, catalogs. And we just say catalog.id and we get the products from that. What we want to do is to limit it to 4. So here inside the home page, we see only we are receiving 4 results. If you change this one to 5, you get 5. And we don't want to sort them, or there's no offset here. Finally, we want to put all the product that we receive inside this catalog with products variable, and we're going to return this variable. So now inside the home page, we have completed this catalog. So we can get the product here. We need to create a component to show the catalog, product catalog. So basically, this is a component from here to here. And we're going to have like this one. These are components. And also this is a component too. So this is a cart component. This is the catalog component. So let's create those. So we need to create a component called product catalog. So let's go to components and create that product catalog.tsx. I'm going to paste the code here. So what we want to do here, we want to loop through the products and show them using this product card. So first we need to create this product card. So let's create this product card.tsx. So we paste this one. So basically this one is going to get the data that we inside the product we are sending to them and then show it as a card. The add to cart functionality we want to add later. So I'm going to delete this one for now. So basically we're going to use some shopping cart icon, like this shopping cart icon we needed. So we import that. And also we need to create the types of products. So we need to create a function inside the types. So we haven't created any types yet. So if you look at the eraser, we can see that we have a folder called types that we have added for our TypeScript. So types, and then we have this product.d.ts. Let's create this function. Let me grab this name. So inside the root directory, I'm going to create a new folder called types. And here we're going to have product.d.ts. These are very simple. It's just the types of the product. The ID is number. For example, we have title, and price is number. We have a string for title. Availability can be any. So it's just the TypeScript file. After that, we have imported toast. So this is just when we add the cart, we want to have the toast. For now, I'm going to remove anything that related to cart store. So later we want to add this functionality. I'm going to remove this for now. We don't need this as well. So what we want to do in this component, we get the product information and we want to show it. So inside the final version, you can see we have the image at the top. So we have the image at the top, which is coming from this product.attribute-values.p.image. Remember, in our OneEntry, these are the markers we need to follow. For example, for the image, the marker is p_image. So here, we just say p_image to get the value of the image. For the title, we get p.title. So we use in an alternative text. So after the image, we're going to have the title. So this is the title, p.title. After that, we're going to have this description. So description is going to be here. p_description is the marker. Then we have the price, which is p_price. And finally, we're going to have this availability. The availability is different. For example, if it's out of order, the color is red. But if it's available, the color is green. So we want to say if the attribute is available, we want to use the green color. Otherwise, we want to use the red color here as well. So we want to use the green or red based on the available. And also we want to show the value, which is out of order or available. And finally, we have a button saying add to cart. So later we want to create this function. Now I just want to remove this so we don't get an error. So in the next section, we're going to work on the add to cart functionality. So this is the function. And also here is this effect. When we hover over it, you see this line. This is this effect. Decorative gradient bar. Okay. So this catalog, let's just import this again so we don't get an error. So the product catalog is going to basically show all the cart. We get the information of the product, we get the products, and also we're going to map through it, get each product and show it using this product cart that we have created. And then we want to use this product catalog inside the homepage. So let me just fix this catalog so we don't get an error here. And also we need to add the type of catalog as well. So if you look at the eraser, we need to add another types for catalog. Let me just copy this and create another types called catalog.d.ts. This is just some for the catalog. We just say ID is number, title is a string. So this is not very important. So let's just fix this one. Catalog. Okay, now we don't have any error in the main homepage as well. So we want to get the products types from OneEntry as well. And we have two pieces of state, products and is loading. So when we come to the page first, if we refresh the page, as you can see, first we see the loading effect and see the product. So until the product is available, we want to set the loading to true. When the product's information came, we're going to set the loading to false. And the way we get the information for the product is to use effect. So we want to use this function that we have created here in this action, get a catalog with products. So we call this function, we get the catalogs, and if the catalog's length, so it's bigger than 0, we want to show it. We want to map through it and show it in our application. And if everything is okay, we set the products to this information and we set the loading to false. So these are basically the homepage components. So let me just bring this one to the left side and our homepage to the right side, show you which part is for which part. So let's close this. So first thing first, we have this hero section. As you can see, we have this fresh, hot, delicious at the top. These are basically our styling. They're not very important. And we have this flame component icon that we get from Lucid React. Here, Lucid React, we got this flame. After that, we have this title, authentic Italian pizza delivered hot. Each of them has different styles. Then we have this description. Then we have these two buttons. The first one is saying order now, free delivery. The next one is view menu. Then we have these stats, like 1,000 plus, happy customers here. We have 25 minutes delivery. Then we have the customer rating. So this was the hero description. We have this hero image. As you can see, this is the image. We have some hover effect when it's bigger. In this mobile size, we don't have hover effect. And also we have this live orders and rating as well. These are floating cards. You see live orders, this one, and this rating. Then we have the white shoes, this section. White shoes sand pizza. We have some description. Then we have some cards. So first we have the information of the cards. As you can see, the icon is pizza. The title is this one. The next one is clock, title, description, heart, and award. And based on these icons, you can just simply map through them and show them here. The next section is the testimonial section. You can see we have the title, we have the description, then we have this information. So first I have this information. For example, this is Sarah Johnson, then Mike. These are just the fake names. The role, image, and we map through them and show them here. The next is the stats section. You see here, 4 things we have, like users, the numbers, the happy customers. And based on that, we map through them and show them here. The next section is the location and the contact section. As you can see, it has the text and the image. So the text here is a visit our kitchen. Then we have this text. And finally, we have some icons to show here for the address, number, and email. Okay. And finally, the information that we want to show the product section starts from here. So here, first we have the loading effect, as I mentioned. Once the pages come here, you see the loading effect saying loading delicious pizza. When the product is available, we want to map through them and show them with the components that we have created. This product catalog plus this product cart. All right, so we just passed the information like title and the products. So that's it for the homepage. So let's check our website now. So this is the website is working fine now. Also, we have one pizza catalog and product here, as you can see here. Let's add one more. Let's bring this one to the left side. Let's say it's fine. Let's go to this OneEntry. Let's add another product, or let's add another page. For example, let's create a type of catalog. The title, for example, I just say chicken pizzas. The URL, chicken underline, and then the menu is the same. Then we go to catalog section. We go to pizza. Let's add a new one. Let's add a chicken pizza, for example, barbecue chicken pizza. Let's grab this name. We go to attribute. We choose the product set, the title, price, for example, $17. Then we have the description. Let's remove the caps lock. We just choose some ingredient, for example, chicken, barbecue sauce. I just got some description like this. And currency, US dollar. Let's add an image. Let's see. Let's add this image. It's uploading. And also we choose this availability. For example, this time I just choose out of order. Okay, now it's uploaded, as you can see here. So let's check our website. Let's refresh the page. Now we have spicy pizzas. Now we have chicken pizza here. As you can see, this one, the image came here, the title, this is the ingredient, the price, and it's out of order, so you cannot choose it, add to our cart. So that's simple as that. You just add whatever product you want inside OneEntry and you can see it immediately in your website. All right, so let's add this one to the GitHub. So we add this, all the changes here we have done, and also we can create a message like implement catalog and product fetching with UI components for the homepage, and we can commit and push. In the next section, we're going to work on the add to cart functionality. So we're gonna, in the final version, you can see when we click on add to cart, we see it inside this cart, and inside the cart, you can see all your orders and etc. So see you in the next section. All right, welcome back. In the last section, we have completed our homepage and created this cart. In this section, we're going to work on the add to cart functionality. If you look at the final version, and for example, we go to the homepage and add something, as you can see in the cart, we have one product. So if I add this one, as you can see, immediately we have a new product in our cart, and also you can see a toaster here saying added to cart. Okay, and if you go to the cart, you can see all your product and the summary of your order, subtotal of the price, and also tax, which is 10% in here, and the total amount. Here, you can increase the quantity, for example, 2. And if you want to even remove a product, you can easily click here, remove it immediately. So as we are adding here the product, you can see the changes immediately. Actually, we are working in changing a piece of state, but this piece of state is common in our homepage and the navbar. So it's very difficult to add a state from one page to another or one component to another. But what we can do is to use a global state management to do it. For example, we create a global state. Once we change it here, we can get the information in the card and see it there. Also in the product page, here, if we click, we can add the product to the cart, as you can see. So everywhere, we don't need to control the states here. We just need to have a global state and see it everywhere. The thing we want to use is Zustand. If you search for Zustand and we go to this URL, as you can see, it's available for JavaScript and TypeScript. What we want to do is to go to documentation, and for installation, we can just simply run this command in our terminal. We just copy this, go back to our terminal and paste it here. And the next step is to create a store in our project and define the store we want. For example, for us is a cart store. So in the eraser, we can see in the root directory, we have a folder called stores. Then we have here cartstore.ts. Let me copy this name. I go back to Visual Studio Code. Let's create a folder called store. I think it was stores with the S, and create a file called cartstore.ts. Here's the code. So what you want to do is to import create from Zustand and persist from Zustand middleware. Here we create the store. What I mean by persist, it persists is to store that state in the local storage of your browser. I'm show you. Let me just bring you the final version. If we inspect the browser and we go to application, and here inside the local storage, you can see we have a variable called cart storage, which includes our cart items. Here you can see 5 items are inside our cart. And if you go to carts and, for example, we remove this one, now this one is updated. Now we only have 4 items in our cart. Also the quantity, price, everything, and the name, as you can see, image, name, price, and quantity. So we want to do the same thing in our project. So here's are the TypeScript. Here we have the ID, name, price, quantity, and image. And we defined here the Zustand store interface. We have we want to create this function, add to cart, update quantity, remove item, and clear cart. So the first one is to create the store. We use the process to keep it in our local storage. As you can see, we have a variable first, which is empty at the beginning, but then we have a function called add to cart. We get the new cart as the input, and we're gonna look inside the storage. For example, here, if I want to add this one, for example, if I press plus, I'm not gonna add a new product. We're gonna increase the quantity. Or if I go back again to my home page and add the same product, which exists inside the, I think, I believe one of them, I think this one is already inside Mozilla. If I add it again, so it's not gonna add that name again. As you can see, we have the same one, but the quantity is different. Now it's 3. So we have to check it first if we have this item in our cart or not. If it exists, we want to increase the quantity instead of adding it. As you can see, the quantity is going to be added when we click on the add to cart if we already have this item. Otherwise, we want to add the new item to our cart. The other function is to update quantity. So it's going to add a new quantity, new value to our that item. Next one is the remove item. So once we press on this trash icon, we want to remove it. And also we want to clear the cart. Once we click it, we want to clear completely our cart. And the name of the cart in our storage is cart storage, which is this one, cart storage. All right, now we have this cart store. We can easily go to our component. If we look at our website, we can go to this cart component, and when we click on this add to cart, we can add it to our local storage. Let's go back to our components and product cart. We need to import some things at the top. All right, we need to import two things. We want to import use cart store from cart store, and also we need that the toast from Stunner to show the toast. Let's see what's this error. Use card is declared by its value is never used. That is fine. We're gonna use it soon. All right, now here we're gonna add a piece of state. It's a global state called add to cart. We're gonna use cart so to get that state, as you can see here. And we're gonna have a function called add to cart. Once we call this function, we wanna use the add to cart that we got from our store and add this information: ID, name, price, quantity, which is 1, and also the image. And also we want to show a toast notification saying added to cart, and then we want to show the title of the cart. We want to have this toast to be available for 5 seconds. So let's add this on-click event listener in our add to cart button here. So here we just add an on-click event listener. We can just accept this one. So if the product is available, we want to add it to the cart. Otherwise, we want to toast an error. This product is not available. Okay, so we have added that. Let's see. We have used this one, should be okay now. Let's add something. Cannot find the module. Okay, so the stores. Okay, I made a mistake maybe in the spelling. That's fine. Cart store.ts. It should be available. Cart store.ts. Cart store. Oh, now I got the problem. Here is a cart store. Here I write down cart store. So sorry. I'm gonna fix this. It's this cart. It should be okay. Okay, now that we don't have any error. Let's see that it's working or not. Let's go to our website. Let's open the application. Let's go to local storage. Let's clear this. And let's go to and add one product, for example, this one. No, we're not getting any reaction here. Let's try again. Okay, now it's working. I refresh the page, now it's working. So the product is added to our local storage. We have the ID, image, the name, price, and quantity. That's working perfectly. So now, as you can see, we have a product inside the cart, but we cannot see it here. We want to see a number at the top of this icon. And for example, when we have a mobile screen, we want to see the number here as well. So let's do that. Let's go back to Visual Studio Go code, and we go to components, navbar. We want to import that cart store here. All right, so here I'm going to import use cart store from that store that we have created. And then here, I want to get the number of items. I don't want to see the add to cart function. So we just get the cart items from this store. And then we want to go to that button, which is the cart button. And then we want to show the number of buttons here. So after this shopping cart, I want to say, if the cart items is more than 0, just show it, the length of it, show it here. So let's see what we get. Okay, now we are seeing it here. But in the mobile size, we don't see it because this is a different cart. So we have to add the same thing in the cart, in the mobile size as well. Let's go and find it. Let me search cart again. And mobile cart, yeah. So here I want to show it as well. So after this div, I want to say if the number of carts is more than 0, I want to show the length of it. So now we can see now we have 1 here. Okay, so it's working fine. So this was for the showing the cart number. Now I want to create this cart page. As you can see now we haven't created yet. If you look at the eraser, in order to create that page, we need to create a folder called cart and then a file called page.jsx or TSX for TypeScript, and also we're gonna create this /cart. Okay, let's go back to Visual Studio Code. Let's go to our main folder in the app directory. Let's create a new folder called cart, and then a file called page.tsx. Instead of, let's delete this one. Yeah, page.tsx. No, it's okay. So here's the code. Let me explain it at the top. This is a client-side page because we want to have some interactivity in the page, because we need to click on adding the cards or deleting the cards. We're going to use the use effect to get the information, and also use the state for having some states here, like loading effect or user. So, and then we're going to have button from Shadcn and input from Shadcn. We have some icons from Lucid React. The icons we were going to use is these icons. Like we have a trash icon, we want to have plus, minus, and we have here this this icon, and then the shopping cart icon, etc. So let's see. After that, we're going to have use router. So when we, for example, click on some buttons, we want to go to the homepage and etc., or we want to redirect the user to somewhere else. So we want to have the use cart store to get the store information, like the items and etc., or we want to remove or add some new item. We want to have the information of the user, because if the user is not logged in, we want to add this cart to their order. So later we're gonna need that. This is the TypeScript for the user, which is coming from OneEntry. Then we have create order action. So we want to create this one later. So I'm going to remove this one. This in the next section, we're going to work on the order. So I'm going to remove it for now. So the router, we want to initialize the router using the function that we have imported here. We want to get the cart items from the store, and we want to get these functions like update quantity, remove item, and the clear cart to be able to use them here. We want to have two pieces of state for loading and the user. For example, here, when we refresh the page, we see a loading effect. So we're going to use that state to control that. And once we come to the page, we want to have the loading effect for 1.5 seconds. And then we use use effect to fetch the user data. First, we set the use is loading to true, and we're going to use the get user session function from here to get the user data. If the user exists, we want to set the user, this piece of state to that user, and we want to set the loading to false. Otherwise, we want to throw the error. In order to create the subtotal, if you look at here, we have subtotal, tax, and the total amount. So we calculate the subtotal here using this function. We calculate the tax, which is the 10%, and total, which is the subtotal plus tax. Then we want to have a function called create order. So I told you we want to create this later, so I'm going to delete it for now. In the next section, I'm going to explain you. And now we want to see our cart functionality. So here's the thing. This is the title. You can see your pizza cart. And then this is the text you see here. And if there is a loading effect, we want to see the loading like this. Otherwise, we want to show the cart items. So we want to map through the cart items and show it there. So we want to see the image first, like this image. We want to see the item name and the price, which is here. And then finally, we want to have a button to remove the item. So here, this is a trash icon to remove the item. We have some buttons to increase and decrease the quantity, like minus and plus. You see, this is a minus and this is the plus icon. So in order when we click on it, we want to update the quantity. Here we want to add it. Here we want to decrease the number. And we see the subtotal here. So item total. And this is for in the mobile size. In the mobile size, we see it differently. In the mobile side, here we see the item total, which is $7 in the mobile size. Okay. And after that, we go to in the desktop, we see different. So I've just completely designed it for mobile and desktop version. All right, here, finally, we have the price. And also we have a button to update the quantity. So I already mentioned this one. So this is the details of our cart. As you can see, the order details. We show the subtotal, tax, total, and finally we have a button for the order checkout. So I'm gonna add it later. So that's it. And if you are not logged in, so there's two ways. You want to be sure if the user logged in, we want to see the credit card information, and also when we press on it, we want to create the order. Otherwise, we want to show the login icon and push the user to the login page. Now we are not logged in, so when we click on it, we're gonna be redirected to the login page. Okay, let's see. We go to our here. We're gonna decrease or increase the number. Let's delete this. Let's see, everything is working fine. And when the cart is empty, we want to show this one as well. Your cart is empty and start shopping. When we click on it, we go to home page. All right, that was it for adding cart functionality using Zustand. Let's add this one to the GitHub. So let's add everything. This is going to be the message: add cart functionality with Zustand store and integrate with UI components. Let's commit and push this. In the next section, we're going to work on the search functionality. If you look at the final version, you can see we can search the product. For example, if I search chicken, we only see the pizzas with the chicken items, and also we have a filter here. For example, I want to only see the available one. You can just, for example, say I want it to be less than $15. And also you can sort it by the price, high to low, low to high, name on, etc. So we're going to work on this functionality. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed the cart functionality. In this section, we're going to work on the search functionality of our website. So if you look at the Razor.io diagram here, you can see that in order to have the search page, we want to create a new folder in the main folder called search. And then we have a file called for creating this /search. Let's create that one. So we go to the app directory main. We're going to create a new folder called search. And we want to create a file called page.tsx. All right, so this is a server client-side component, as you can see, because we have some interactivity in this page. So we want to make this one in the client side, and we want to use effect use state and suspend from React to create the, for example, states and also the fetching data from the API. In order to have this page, we want to create a new action inside the catalog called search products. So I'm going to create this one inside the actions folder catalog, search products.ts. This is very simple. It's in the server action, so users cannot have access to it. We want to get the API from the OneEntry. So we're going to import the fetch API client function that we have created inside the OneEntry.ts file. Here's the TypeScript related to search params, which only we have one query, which is a string. So here we're going to create a server action function called search product action. We want to pass the query, and we initialize the API from OneEntry, and also we can get the products by just using this method, search product, and we pass the query. And this is the language. And we're going to return the products. If the product is not available, we want to just return an empty array. Otherwise, we want to throw an error. So now in the search page, let's fix this one. So we want to use this search products action to be able to get the search products. We want to use this use search params to get the parameter. For example, here we have a parameter search term. So we want to get this search term from the URL. using this use search params from Next navigation. And also we want to use the product card. We are using it here. And also we want to define the types of the products which we can get from OneEntry. And also some of them that we defined ourselves. We want to use the button, this button. So we get it from chat.cn. Also the input, which is here, these inputs. And also some icons from Lucid React, like this magnifier, this cross icon, this filter, and these kind of things. So finally, we have some filter types like price range, availability, sort by, and show filters. So here we have our React functional component called search component. So we have a piece of state for the loading effect. For example, here, if you refresh the page, we should see a loading effect. So in order to know that when the product comes, we're gonna have a isLoading piece of state. Next, we initialize the search params that we got here to be able to get the params from the URL. So in order to get the URL search params, we can just call this params and use the method get, and we just say get the term search term here. Then we have a piece of state for products and also another piece of state for filtered products. And also we want to get the search term as well, so which initially is being equal to that one that we get from the URL. So for the filter, the initial value is 0 to 100. You can change it easily here. You can see in the filter we have 0, 100, and all item relevance is the initial value, as you can see, relevance. Okay, so easily you can, for example, I can change this one to 30. If I change it to 30, we need to refresh the page. So the filter, this is the, you have to change another place. So let me choose 100. Okay, this one must be 30. Let's refresh the page again. I think we still have some. Okay, here, 30. Okay. Oh, this is the final version, sorry. This change doesn't apply to this one. So in order to change that one, you can change that 100 to 30, for example, you get 100. But here, because this is the final version, the code is not the one that we are changing. The one that we are changing is being applied to our final version. So here, if I search something, let me search something, for example, chicken. And here you see that the filter with the price range now changed to $30. All right. So let's go back. All right. So this is the filter, the piece of state for filter. And then we want to use effect to get the product from the URL. And based on that search URL, we want to get the information from OneEntry, which we are using this function search product action that we have created here. As you can see, we have created here, we pass the query, and based on that, we want to get the products. So we get the data, and then we want to show them if there is no product, we want to throw an error. Each time we change the search term, we want to fetch again and get the information again. So for the applying filters as well, we want to have some use effect. As you can see, there is a function for apply filters. The filters we are adding is for price, for the availability, and also we want to sort them by price, and also, as you can see, the price high, low, high. We want to sort them by name and the newest. And also, if we change this bar, we want to control that one as well, which is here, handle new search. And also, we want to be able to clear the filter, which is here. Let's search again. Yeah, here we have a button, clear filter. Once we click on it, everything comes back to the previous one for the initial value. So finally, we have this component, for example, here, which says pizza search. The title is here. Then we have this description. We have the search bar, which is here. And after that, we have the filter toggle, which is this one. So these are the filters. For example, clear filter, as I mentioned here, we see extra button, clear filter. And finally, if we want to show the filter, we want to see it here. It has some input for number here. and also the availability. You can choose available only or out of stock. Then we have sort by, which is here. It has some options, as you can see, relevance, name, and etc. And finally, if there's no loading effect, we want to show the number. For example, you said found one delicious result for chicken. So we want to see the number of results, and we show the delicious result for that search term. And finally, we want to show the product here. We want to show the product by just mapping through the filtered products, and we want to use that product card that we have created before to show those information. And if there's no search result, for example, if I search something here that doesn't exist, random things, as you can see, we see no pizza found, and you can clear the filter here. There is a button for clearing the filter. And also we want to use here, in order to avoid some errors, we want to use the suspend for the loading effect. This one is helps you to don't get error when you are deploying the project to Vercel. Okay, so that was it for the search functionality. Let's add this one to the GitHub. Let's get the suggestion here. Add product search functionality with filters and result display. So we can commit and push. So in the next section, we are going to work on the product page fit. If we click on any card, we can see each product has its own page. You can see we have the product detail, price. We can have the add to cart functionality, and also we get some recommendation based on the product here. Okay, see you in the next section for the product page. All right, in the last section, we have completed the search page functionality. In this section, we're going to work on the product page. If you look at this one, you can see that we have a page /product and the ID of the product. So it's going to be a dynamic. For example, if I change this ID, you're going to see another product. For example, this product, the ID is 13. So here inside the eraser.io, you can see in order to create this page, we need an extra folder with a bracket product ID. So based on this folder, we can have dynamic page. So let's create this page. We go to Visual Studio Code. We go to app directory main. So the folder is going to be product and another folder with the bracket product ID. And then we have page.tsx. So this is going to be the code. And also I want to change this one, the name to this name. For the ID, let's make the ID smaller. The D must be small. Okay, so let's start from the top. It's a client-side component because we have some interactivity here. And we have to create two server actions here for getting the product detail. Like you can see here, this is the product detail. And also we want to get the related products, which is here. Let's create these two. So we're going to have an action, but the action, we want to create that. Yeah, inside the catalog, we're going to create that. So let's, inside the catalog, we create this get product details.ts, and also we want to create this get related products. So let's first create this get product details page. This is a very simple server action. We fetch the API from OneEntry and initialize it here. Then we want to use the method get products by ID from OneEntry, pass the product ID, and they get the product detail. For the related products, we want to have some filtering here. So we want to use this method get product by page ID. So we want to get actually this, for example, in our home page. Now I want to show you here. For example, this is the product from related to this one. For example, you can see this is the classic pizza. As this is a classic pizza, we get all the related pizza to this category. So here we get the page ID. We pass it, and we want to limit the result by 5, and also you don't want to sort them or anything else. So what we want to do when we get this product from this category, we want to remove this same product. For example, I don't want to show the same product here. You see the chicken cordon inside the suggestion. So we're going to filter out there. So we want to push all the products except the one with the same ID. So in this way, we're going to have all the product except the one that we are fetching here in the top. All right, so these two actions are ready. Let's go back to our page. Let's fix this error so we can get the results here. Okay, now we have the catalogs. We don't get error here. So we have imported some other things. For example, the use router to go from one page to another. We have some icons. We want to use, for example, this icon, the arrow, the cart, and etc. So shopping cart and arrow left. Then we have a button from Shadcn to create this button. We want to get the cart functionality because when we click on these icons, the add to cart or here add to cart, we want to add this product too. For example, if I click on here, this product is available. So when I click on add to cart, we want to add it to the cart as well. So here we want to use the use cart store to be able to do that. So, and then we want to get the product details from the action that we have created. We want to have the product catalog. Remember, we were using product catalog to show the product. So we want to use it here to show all the products. And this is the function that we have created here. We import that. And also we want to have a toast notification when we add a new item to the cart. We want to see that toast notification. These are the TypeScripts. And let's create a function called product details page. We have 3 pieces of states for product ID, product, and related products. And also we have loading effect here. Once we refresh the page, we want to see the loading effect like this. And we initialize the router. And finally, we get the add to cart function from the use cart to store to be able to add the product to the cart. First thing first, we want to, based on the params of the URL, which is this one, as you can see, the ID, we get the ID, product ID, and based on that ID, we want to fetch the product detail. So we get the ID here, we pass it here, and based on that, we want to get the product's detail and save it in this variable. So these are for getting the product details. For getting the related products, we want to send the same data as well to get the product related product as well. And also we want to have a function to handle the add to cart functionality. So once we click on it, we want to, if the product is available, we want to add it to the cart. So if the attribute available is equal to available, we want to add it to the cart. We send the information. And also we do the toast notification saying add to cart. So here's some for checking the availability. And also if there is a loading effect, we want to see the loading effect. Otherwise, we want to see the product details. As you can see here, we have the icon that we click. We go to the left side. Then we have this back to menu here. We want to have the image of the product here. And on the top of that, we want to say fresh and hot. So, and this is going to be dynamic as well. So if it's available, we want to say fresh and hot. If it's not available, we want to say out of order. So this is dynamic as well. After that, we want to see this title, a special. Then we want to see the title of the pizza. Let me show you here. This is the title of the pizza. Then we have the price, which is here. We want to see the availability. If it's available, we say available now. If not, we want to say out of order. Then we have some description, which is the ingredient of the pizza. And finally, we have a button to add it to the cart. You see the description and also the button to add it to the cart. And after that, we want to see these features like wood fire, fast delivery, and premium. I've added these things. These are all just aesthetic. Then we see the related product. Related product, we have a title you might also love and some description. And based on the, we use this component that we have created before to show these products. We pass the product detail, as you can see here. And then finally, we want to say here some limited time by one, something like that. These are optional. You can add something else. All right, so that was it for adding it to our application. Let's check our final version. Let's go back to homepage. For example, click on this icon. Are we still getting some error? We don't have this. Let's see the problem here. Product ID page.tsx. And this is inside the main folder. Product. Let me check the spelling. Let me refresh this page. Okay, product ID. That's correct. Page.tsx. All right, I have checked. As I changed the name, product ID, the lowercase and uppercase, I needed to restart the server to be able to see the result. Now it's working. I think it was just a TypeScript problem. As you can see, we get this product. As we don't have any product in that category, we don't see any related product. So we need to add some other projects, something other category. For example, in the chicken pizza, I'm gonna just duplicate this one and let's change it a little bit. For example, this one, I just change it to beef pizza. Let's go to attribute, change this one, price, for example, $20, description, leave it the same, currency US dollar, image, let's add an image, and also I want to make it available. All right, the image is uploaded. So let's go back to our page. Now, if we refresh this page, we should get this product, and also in the related product, we get this beef pizza, and it's available. So let's try to add this one, for example, to get to the cart. As you can see, it's working. Let's go to this page. Once we are inside this product, we can see the other product in the here. So everything is working fine. So let's add this one to the GitHub. So let's go to GitHub repository. We add everything to the GitHub. Let's create a message for that. Add product detail page and fetching and displaying product and related products. So we can just commit and push. So in the next section, we're going to work on the order part. For example, we can go here, and once we click here, we can order the pizza, and the information is going to go to the OneEntry. I'm going to show you how to do it. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed the product page detail and we got the related products. In this section, we're going to work on the order functionality. The things we need to do first is to go to OneEntry and add some pages and also some setting in our order. This is let me show you the test one first. All right, so let me log in again. So we need to create a form. We need to create a form with the name order form, and this is the marker. And in the setting, we need to add the type order form, and also we want to connect the attribute users to this one. So let's create this one first. We go to forms, create a new form with the name order forms. Let me just grab this name, paste it here, order underline form. Now let's go to the setting. Let's go to the form field. Here we're going to choose the type order form. For the attributes, I use users. So we know the name, email, and password of the user that's creating the order. So that's the first step. Let me see if we have, we don't need anything else here. And then we go to orders. And here in the orders, we need to create a new order with this marker. So let's create this one as well. Let's go to orders, create a marker orders, name of orders. And this is going to be with the type order. Let's add this. So let me refresh this page. I don't know why I'm getting this error. This marker already exists. So there's no marker here with name order. That form as order form. Let's add that. Now it's working. It's fine. So In the setting, if we go in the setting of this order, we need to have some here in the setting. We need to add the order form, and also we need to connect a stripe here, and also we have some order status: preparing, delivered, completed, cancel. So anything you can put here. For example, in the pizza shop you can add baking and etc. But for simplicity, I've just added this 4. Let's add this 4 inside our orders. Go to order status. The first one, we add preparing. The marker is preparing. We need to set this one as a default. When an order registered, it's going to be prepared in the preparing status by default. So the next one, I just add the delivered. Then we have completed. And finally, we have the canceled. So we finish the order status. Let's go to setting. In the setting, we need to choose the order form that we have created for this. And also we want to connect the stripe here. So we need to connect our stripe first and then show it here. As you can see here. So here we need to go to payments, and then here we go to accounts, and then we can connect the stripe here. So first we create a new marker for the stripe. Let's go payments, accounts. Let's create the payment here, marker, stripe payment, the name, stripe, and the type is going to be stripe. Let's add this. So inside the setting, that's the same thing, that's fine. Let's do the other things we need to do here is to add the success URL, cancel URL, and also we want to connect the stripe to our application. So here inside the setting, we add the success URL, which is going to be our page. For example, now we are in the localhost 3000. So I'm going to add this one, localhost 3000, orders, and then success. The next one is the cancel. And then we can connect the stripe. Once we click on it, we want to be redirected to stripe. And here we need to add our stripe information, connect to the stripe, and then the stripe is going to send back the information to OneEntry. So I'm going to pause the video and connect my stripe. All right, I have just connected my stripe to this account. Let's add this success and the cancel again. All right, so if the payment is successful, we want to be redirected to this page. Otherwise, we want to go to this page. And status is as the order, setting, the accounts. Everything is fine. Payments. Let's go back to orders, the setting. Now we can choose stripe here, and the form I already choose the order form. Okay, so everything is fine. So now we want to create some action. If you look at the eraser.io, we need to create some actions for orders here and create the order. Let's create that action. Let's go back to Visual Studio Code. We go to actions. We create a new folder called orders. And then we want to create a function called create-order.ts. This is going to be a server action to protect the data from users. We can fetch the API from OneEntry. We need cookies. And also, this is the type for the order we can get from OneEntry. So we fetch the data, create the API client, and we set a token. We get the token first. If there's no token, we want to throw an error because there's no user in the website. So we want to throw an error, missing access token. Otherwise, we want to create the order by using this method, set access token. We create the order. And if you remember, the marker was order, so we need to pass it here. And we need to create a session as well. And based on the created order, we want to create a session. And finally, we want to return the payment session here. And if there is an error, we want to catch the error. Also, we need to create 2 extra pages. If you remember, we have added this payments. Here we have added 2 pages, your success page and the cancel page. So we need to create them by adding a folder called cancel and also a folder called success. We can create them easily by these files. And also we want to put these folders inside the orders page. So we create a folder called orders inside the main. So orders, then we have the page. For example, first we create the success page, then we have page.jsx or tsx for TypeScript. Also, we want to create another page for cancel. So the cancel page is very simple. We just create it first. It's a client-side component. We have some icons. So let me show you the page first. So here we go /orders /cancel. As you can see, it's just some icons saying the order canceled, payment status canceled, your payment wasn't charged, and also they have some button to go back or browse for more pizza. So there's nothing difficult here, just some static information. Let's do the same thing for the success page. So the success page is going to be static as well. I've just put it here. Let's check it inside our website. Success is just some icons which the order status confirmed, and thanks for shopping. And also we can go to the order page, and also if you want to order more, you can be redirected to the home page. So now what we want to do is to complete this cart page, this button. So let's go to Visual Studio Code. We go to the cart page.tsx, and here's in the button we need to add here a on-click event listener to create the order. So here I'm going to add a new on-click event listener, which is going to call a function called create order and checkout. Let's create this function at the top. So here, all right, this is the function. We paste it here. So as you can see, we need the username with the customer name, and the field we need is the name, and we need some other fields as for that. If you remember, we needed the name, email, and password. So instead of name, I'm sending username, and we're gonna fill this marker name with this username. And also we need this function, the create order. So we need this function. I think we have created this function here, create order. Yeah, we have created this, but we need to just import that. So let me just auto import it. And once we create the order, we want to clear the cart as well and redirect to the user to the URL. And the URL we are sending can be success or cancel based on the payment status. And here for the payment account identifier, remember we have added payment, Stripe payment. Here, a Stripe payment. So we need to be careful about these things. So I think it's ready. Let's try. If it doesn't work, we're going to check the code. I'm sure everything is fine. So we have this pizza in our cart. Let's click on order pizza. This is going to ask us to log in. Let's create an account first. For example, s3@gmail.com. Let's just join it. Let's sign in. Let's go to the cart again. Now we can have the checkout button. So let's click on that. And nothing is happening. It says failed to process the order. Let's see the error, and based on the error we can fix it. So the error is error during the order and payment processing. What is the error actually? Invalid currency. Let's start currency, suppose this currency. So probably here we have made some mistake for the currency, sending the information of the currency. Let me check it. Here the page data was null when we were sending it. Message was the error currency, status is 500. We have correctly sent the form data like name, email, the name, which is this one. We are not sending the currency. Let me see why the currency is empty. Let's search currency. Here, create order. Let's search for currency. The order data, let's check the order data. So order data. So from this card, when we are clicking on this button, we have to send all the information. Let me check it first. Yes, I've checked the problem already. Inside the OneEntry, this product is missing the currency, which is US dollar. I've just fixed this one first. The problem is the data is not being saved. Let me just refresh this page. See the problem, why the currency is not saving. You can only enter numbers. Oh, okay, I think some mistake is happening inside the setting. So we go to setting in the attributes, product set. The currency is integer here. It shouldn't be integer. It should be a number. Sorry, a string. So let me just fix this one. Here. Seems like I cannot fix the type. So let me just delete it and create it again. So let me add this again. The type is string. Okay, now it's fine. Let's add this contains currency. So now if you go to catalog, that beef pizza, now probably we can change the currency. Where is the currency? It's here, US dollar. Okay, now it's saved correctly. Let's see that we can do the payment again this time. Okay, now it's working. Now we are redirected to the Stripe. As you can see, we get the image of the pizza, the price. Let's add some email, for example, s3@gmail.com. Here you can add some dummy data for the payment because we are using the test mode. It's a sandbox. You can use 42 8 times for the information. Also, months can be any months in the future, and any 3 numbers for here, and also just add some name here, and we can add pay. So once we pay that, we are redirected to the order success page. So now if we go to OneEntry, we go to orders, we should see a new order here, as you can see. This is the one. These are the actually wrong ones. So let me delete one because it wasn't successful. And this one is the successful one here. For example, now it's preparing. We can just change it to deliver or completed. So in the next section, we want to get this information of the orders and show it to a user inside the orders page that we have in the menu. These orders. Now, if you go to orders, we don't have this page. So we're going to create this page and show the orders of the users. But for now, let's add the changes we have done here to the GitHub. So this is going to be add order creation, success, and cancel pages and checkout functionality. Let's commit and push it. So in the next section, we're going to work on showing the orders page. All right, in the last section, we have completed the order functionality. As you can see, we can get now the order. Now we want to work on the order page. So here, now we don't see it. So if you look at the eraser, inside the orders folder, we want to create another file to create the orders page. So let's create that one. We go to app, main, orders, and in the main folder, we want to create a file called page.tsx. All right, so here, this is a client-side component because we have some interactivity here. We have the user state and use effect to get the information and also handle the states. So we are importing button from Shadcn. Also, we need the badge from Shadcn. So let me just go to Shadcn and install that one. So badge is for showing the processing completed and etc. So we're gonna install that. We go to Visual Studio Code and paste it in a terminal. All right, so and also we want some icons from Lucid React. And also we want to create an action to get the orders. We have created before an action to get the orders. I want to create another one to create the orders. Now we want to create another one to get the orders. So get orders.ts. This is a server action, and we want to be able to fetch the API from OneEntry, and also we need the cookie. So first we initialize the API, and also we want to get the access token from the cookie inside the browser. If there is no access token, we want to throw an error. Otherwise, we want to get the orders. So we want to get the orders by just using this method, get all orders by marker, and then we want to pass the marker. Finally, we want to return the orders. Now we have this action. Let's bring it again to remove the type error. And the next things we need to have is to have use the router to be able from going to from one page to another. So here's some TypeScript we need for product, order, and items. And the status of the icons are here. So we're gonna have some of the things like processing, ship, delivered, and cancel. They have different colors. They have different like a icon. So first thing first, we want to create a piece of state called orders to get the orders, and also we want to have a piece of state for loading effect, and we want to initialize router. So if you look at here now inside the my orders, let's refresh the page. Okay, now you can see the order of the user. We have two orders for this user. One is preparing and one is completed. So in order to get this information, we want to use use effect and fetch the orders by calling the function that we have created here. And then we want to return, first thing first, we want to have the title here, the description, which is here. Then if there is a loading, we want to see the loading effect like this. Otherwise, we want to see the orders. We want to map through the items and show them one by one. So the order number goes here. Then we have the order on, which is the date that we had the order. Then we have a badge for preparing, completed, and etc. Then we have the total amount, which is here. We have the order items here. And we want to map through the products and show them one by one, including their title, quantity, and etc. So the title is this one and the quantity is here. And finally, we want to see the price here. So if there's no order, we want to say no pizza yet ordered, and you can just order it by just going to this page / you can go to the home page and order your first pizza. So that was it for the order page. And in order to see the difference, you can see if you go to our OneEntry, as you can see, we have some order. Let me just clear these orders. Let me refresh the page. Now we only have one order. Let's go back to web. So we have two orders. Let's refresh the page. Okay, it's one order. Let's refresh the page here. Okay, now we have one order. One is completed. And here's the completed. If you want to change this one, you can simply just change this one to, for example, canceled. And you can here, if you refresh the page, you see that one, canceled. All right. So that was it for adding the order page. Let's add this one to the GitHub. We create a message saying add order fetching functionality and create my orders page with loading state. So we can just commit and push. So in the next section, we're going to work on the profile page. If we want to show the history of the person, how many orders they had in a year or how much they spent, and show it here. So see in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed the orders page. In this section, we're going to work on the profile page. If you look at the eraser.io diagram, we can see that in order to create the profile page, we need to create a folder called profile, and then we want to have a file named page.js, ts, or tsx. So this is going to create the / profile page. So let's create that. Let's go to the Visual Studio Code. We go to app main. We create a new folder called profile and create a file called page.tsx. All right, so here we have this page, which is a client-side component, as we have some interaction with the page. So we have imported user state and a user effect to have some states and also be able to fetch data from the backend, which is OneEntry. We have imported some icons to show it. Then we have also some avatar component from the chat.cn, also avatar fallback component. We want to get the user data using get user session. Previously we have created that here, get user session. We want to get the user's order by this orders get orders.ts. This iUser is the type of the users which we are getting from OneEntry, and also we want to have redirect from next navigation to help users to go from one page to another. Here's we're gonna define some types for our user stats. Then we want to have a piece of state for user and also a piece of state for the stats, which includes the lifetime orders, lifetime spends, yearly orders, yearly spends, monthly orders, and monthly spend. And also we have another piece of state for loading effect. So let me show you the profile page. Let's go there. As you can see, we have a loading effect. We have a name for the user. And we have the avatar with the initial here, the email. We have some badge for them. This is the pizza stats. For example, they only ordered one, spent $20 this year, one order, $20 spent this month, and the other badges. So first thing first, we want to have the loading effect. Then we want to fetch the data from the user. If there's no user, we want to redirect them to the login page. And also we want to get the orders of the user and fill up these informations. In order to create them, for example, the order date, we can get from here, and the order year, we can use this method, get the full year. We can get the months, total amount, we calculate here. Current year, we can get with this method, and also the current months. In order to calculate the lifetime orders and lifetime spent, we can use these variables for the yearly and also for the monthly. And finally, we want to set the stats. Then we have in our page the title, which is this one. Then we have the description here. Then if there is a loading effect, we want to see the loading. Otherwise, we want to see the avatar of the user. This avatar we can see here, which is showing the information from the user here. And the next things we want to have is the email, for example. We want to have some badges here, premium pizza member, and a stats card. For example, pizza states we have here. Here's are the achievement. Then we have the stats card showing the lifetime orders here. Then we have another stat card showing the yearly orders and etc. We're gonna fill up all of them. And as you can finally, if we don't have any other things, for example, if there is no so here's at the end, we want to show the icon and the emoji here, showing the stats, the name of the user, and how many orders they want to have to be masked. For example, 10 orders is that. So they only ordered one, so 9 more orders left to master. These are just the optional things I have added. These are just the ideas, but you can work on it and have more idea here. Yeah, that's it for the profile page. This is the last page that we needed to create. So let's add this one to the GitHub. The message is going to be add profile page with user stats and loading states. We're gonna add this one. In the next section, we're gonna deploy our application to Vercel for free, and that way you can share this project with your colleagues, friends, and put it on your portfolio. So see you in the next section. All right, in the last section, we have completed the profile page and also completed our website. In this section, we're going to deploy our application to Vercel. So we just go search for Vercel, and we go to vercel.com. It's completely free to deploy your application. Once you're logged in, you can just click on Add New, go to Project, And here you can see all your GitHub repository projects. For example, this one, Next Pizza Shop, that we have just deployed our last commit. For example, if you see my GitHub repository, the last commit is this one, which is 1 minute ago. And you can see it's 1 minute ago. And if you press on import, here it's already detected this is the Next.js project. We can just add our environmental variable. We can just go to the .env.local. We just copy these two and paste them here. And we can just press on deploy. This is going to take around 1 minute to deploy your application. If there is an error, you can see it, or otherwise you can see your application deployed successfully. So here, as you can see the deployment, it's now running Vercel build, and it started to install Next.js and its dependencies. All right, so almost finished. We are getting some warning about the image tag. That's not important. You can, instead of using the normal image tag, you can use the Next.js image tag. So here you can see our website is ready. Let's continue to dashboard, and we can see it's already assigned a domain for our application. So we can just click on it. As you can see now, this is our website's address, nextpizzashop.vercel.app. As you can see, it's working fine. Also, we are getting the pizzas that we have inside OneEntry successfully. So the only things we need to do is to go to OneEntry, and we go to payments, setting, and here instead of localhost 3000, you need to replace the localhost 3000 with this URL. I'm gonna replace it here and here. And this way, when we do some purchase, if it's successful, it goes to it returns the user to success URL with this address, or if it's not successful, it goes to this URL. So that's the only change you need to do. So let's try and create an order. So let's go to our website. Okay, let's try to create a user. For example, I just create s4@gmail.com. This is the email. The name is s4, password the same. Let's join. Let's sign in. Now we logged in. We can see our profile. As you can see, we don't have any orders yet. And then our orders is empty. That's fine. Cart is empty. So let's order something. Let's go to the home page and, for example, order this pizza. We'll add it to the cart. We go to the cart. For example, I make a tree. Let's check out. Once we click on it, seems like we are getting an error here. Let's check the console of the deployment. Let's go to logs. Let's see the error here. So order or payment session creation failed. Let's see the error. Open it here. Stripe payment, string. Our currency is empty. I think because I have created this product before I have fixed the currency, we had this problem. So I need to fix this product, or I can order something else. So let's order something else for simplicity. So that product is, I have to modify it. So let's clear the cart and let's order something else. For example, this beef pizza, I think was correct. So let's add this one to the cart. Let's go to the pizza cart and we click on checkout. So this is going to redirect us to the Stripe. We can add our email here, add some cart data, which is 42. Let's add some CVC and date. The name, for example, S4. Let's pay. So the order was successful. Let's go to our orders. You can see the order here. It's preparing. So this one by mistake is added. I'm going to fix this one. And let's go to the profile. Now we have the orders. So let's go to the OneEntry. Now here we can go to the orders. And we see all the orders here. And the orders I want to see is this order with this user, S4. And this one was the like a mistake one without currency, so it didn't went through. So I'm gonna delete this. All right, so now we only have this one. Instead of preparing, for example, I want to say completed. Let's go to the user, and now we refresh the page. In the profile, as you can see, we only have one order, and its orders, we can see that it's completed. And if we change it again, for example, here to delivered, and here we should see the badge delivered. Okay, it's working fine. So that was it for our project. I hope you enjoyed and learned many things. And I hope you can create your own website, create your own, for example, delivery shop using the code in this project. And if you want to learn something else, let me know in the comments which project you're interested in, and I'm gonna create it in the next project. So see you in the next project.